strike team ready tonight. I don't know if they'll leave tomorrow or in the next couple of days, but yeah.
Have they got it contained at all, or is it still?
I didn't even check in today to see where it was at. I think last night they were doing better, but that's about it.
I need to do the same thing.
We'll see.
I'm not going away for you. Ready? I need to review and consider motion to reconvene the meeting.
So moved.
Second. A motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Annual meeting, organization of the Board of Trustees. A, I need to elect the board chair.
I make a motion for Seth Stout as board chair.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any accept the motion?
Yep.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
All right. Just any other nominees? Hearing none, I guess we'll move forward in voting Seth as board chair. All in favor saying aye?
Comments?
Yes.
So this goes back to conversation we had earlier last spring about providing the zones the opportunity to rotate into the position, give each one of the zones the opportunity to provide that representation to the board across the entirety of SD41. So as per that discussion is where we're going with this action item. End of comments. Thank you.
I have a discussion question. Just, I'm not opposed to change. I like that idea. However, I just want to know from you, Seth, like how you felt as, I'm sorry.
Sorry, I'm deaf.
On the other side. In your past year of being vice chair, just to hear from in your own words, like what you've learned from observing what the position is and what you think you've learned and how you're qualified and experienced for the position.
As vice chairman?
What you've learned from watching, because there's more to chair than just running a meeting. I mean, so.
Yeah, it's obviously a lot of organization, a lot of being involved, mostly, you know, and making sure that you make meetings, speaking up, making sure you keep order, time, those are most important, and leading in this manner. And that's how I've seen the position. That's how I've kind of taken it by the reins.
Okay, I guess, all in favor saying aye?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. There you go, buddy. You got the reins, man.
Well, we need to elect a board vice chair.
Make the motion for Paul Soton.
I'll second that. Okay. So, sorry, no, it's the position.
No.
Any further discussion?
Any further discussions? Any opposed? All in favor favor saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Aye.
Need to review, approve, and execute code of ethics for school board members 2025.
Which these are listed by zone, so that's why the order that they are in.
Yep.
So.
Okay. All right. We need to review and approve a date, time, location for regular board meetings as shown.
If you look in the annual meeting tab behind the code of ethics, you'll see the proposed calendar. It's following the same, I guess, pattern as now, where regular board meetings would continue to be the second Monday of the month. They would be held at the district office, and there would still be the two, one in the fall in October and one in spring and March at Upper River School.
I move to approve the calendar.
Motion for the second.
Second.
Any opposed? All in favor saying aye.
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 Motion carries.
The times also remain the same.
Need to appoint business manager treasurer for 2025.
I would nominate Danette Cordell as our business manager.
I second that motion.
Got a motion second. Any opposed? All in favor saying aye.
Aye.
That's a good, that's a good decision right there.
Need to appoint a board clerk and in the clerk's absent, an acting clerk for 2025.
I make a motion for Tana Wicks and substitute Danette Cordell.
Second that motion.
Any opposed?
Put your hand down, Tana. You have to accept.
Accept? All right. You good with this, Tana? You sure? All right. All in favor saying aye.
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 All right, let's rise and pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Consent agenda action item. Need a motion to approve the minutes, full and financial report, and employment. Where's that second? Get a motion. Justin.
You scroll all the way through to the employment, then you gotta read the employment. Resignations.
Employment, Kendra Michelle Coleman, substitute teacher, Sabrina Monique Hansen, substitute teacher, Stephen Ronald Conray, maintenance, Brendan James Norden, maintenance, maintenance, and the updated 2024-2025 winter coaching volunteer. Resignations for Joseph Anthony DeGravi for maintenance.
I make that motion as presented.
Awesome.
Second.
Any opposed? All in favor saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Start with the agenda. St. Mary's High School Student Business Professionals of America, BPA. What's that? BPA?
Yeah, BPA, civics, and government presentations
Okay.
by the students.
Yep, awesome. All right.
Okay, so I'm here to talk about our new business ownership and entrepreneurship class that we have this year at the high school. I brought some of my students today, and I'll just let them kind of lead the way.
And this is Mr. Cooper Daniel.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Kara Morris. I'm Tiffany Bell.
I'm Haley Short.
And we're talking about the new business ownership and entrepreneurship class at the high school. It teaches us all how to start and maintain a business, and it also gives us good ways to help the community with the skills we're learning. Right now we're actually designing a menu for the Shack.
Okay, so we also are in charge of running the market at our high school. So we currently sell these t-shirts and sweatshirts with these designs. They are made by students in our class. And we also have a menu for our market if we want to pass this around. And those have some USDA approved smart snacks that we sell in the mornings, not lunch. And we also are ran by BPA as well.
I have one of those shirts.
Awesome.
Every Friday in our business entrepreneur class, we work on BPA, Business Professionals of America, and this year we have an all-time high number participating in BPA, which is 46, and 33 of those 46 made it to state this year, which is amazing. And we sell these shirts, we run the market, all to fundraise for BPA.
Nice. That's great.
Cool. You guys have any questions for those? Or?
What's the Shack?
So that's the Taco Shack. We are just currently making a menu because a lot of us have like skills in graphics design and stuff like that, and so we're just redesigning her menu. She asked us to do that, and that's our current assignment.
Oh, okay. I know about that.
Yeah.
I thought you guys had your own thing or something.
Oh, well, we do have a market,
Yeah.
so that's just where we sell snacks and stuff in the morning and
Okay.
t-shirts.
That's great.
Yeah.
Where does the revenue go from the products that you're selling, the t-shirts and the food?
So that goes to BPA to get us like our bus down to state, our hotel room, down to nationals, which this year is in Florida, and kind of just to help fundraise for it.
Cool, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
Sustainable.
Excellent. I like that.
We talked about our budget last spring.
Monthly department reports?
Yeah.
Oh, we got your, okay.
Good to hear them talk about it.
Civic activity.
I'm Trenton Ribrick. I'm here to discuss civic action for government. Civic action is an assignment for our government class where we're told to go out into our community and involve in government associated things such as this. And each thing that we do gives us a certain amount of points to a total of 300 points by the end of the year. For me, presenting here today, it gives me 20 points out of my 300, and most of the things that you do, basically from 10 to 20. During civic action, you get involved with your community and get to know your government better through different opportunities that is given to you, but you're also allowed to explore more. I personally have gone out and volunteered places. I've picked up trash, and I'm coming here to speak at a board meeting. Also, along with that, every grading period, every 3 weeks, we're supposed to have another 25 points to, at the end of the year, make 300 total. And then, so that keeps us constantly doing stuff. So every 3 weeks, we're at least making 25 more points. By the end of the semester, we're going to have 150 points per person, and then the grade for that is just whatever you get for that 3-week grading period.
So every senior's doing this?
Yes, every senior.
So there's gonna be a lot of you coming in here to talk in front of us?
Lots of civic outreach.
Is your
Spread
highlight
out
speaking
to
to the
city
board?
council.
We're only worth 20 points.
20
That was
points,
a lot.
yeah.
Most of
Everybody-
them
Didn't
are
get
15.
25?
Yeah, you only got
Yeah,
about
most
5
is only 10 to
governments in town you
15.
can
Oh,
talk
most
to.
of them
Yeah.
are 10 to 15.
Get some serious civic
Is
outreach.
your highlight speaking to the board?
Yeah, probably.
Cool.
Do you get extra
Yeah.
points if you stay through to the very end
We
of
need
this
more points,
meeting
guys.
and don't just leave after the presentation?
Probably not.
Probably, yeah.
Thanks,
So,
Trenton.
so in that class, I mean, you know, coming here and just talking about what that is, so what, is there an impression that you would like to leave on the board? Or is there a message other than, you know, just with the class and your role in the class and how you're accumulating points, but is there something that you would ask from us or that you wanna leave with us?
I just want to emphasize how much that it helps our class get involved before we leave high school, and how much more we have yet to learn in the real world. This gets us out there and involved when most of the time when we get taught stuff, it's just in a classroom. This allows us to, like, put our foot in the waters a little bit before we leave.
Then I would encourage you to stay for a good part of the meeting. I know you can't probably stay for the whole thing, it's long. But try to stay for a little while and see what we do.
Thanks.
That was the right
Thanks,
political
Trenton.
answer.
That was a good
Thank
answer.
you. Non-committal, either way. Non-committal, either way, I like it.
Duly noted.
All right.
Maybe people on that won't be as involved. Thanks, Trenton.
What did I walk into?
So our last group is our U.S. history class, and you can see their wonderful artwork here that I will let them explain.
Howdy board. Like you said, I'm Mr. Bassler. I teach U.S. History 1 and 2. Thank you for inviting us. I was asked to bring in a recent project that kind of reflects what we're doing in class. I have 3 juniors in here, Jaden Bergwin, Caitlin Turner, and Cecil Reeves, and we worked just through the Great Depression and the New Deal. And I asked them, we always explore media during the time, how the 1930s affected the Depression and the New Deal, how they affected media, TV, radio, music, etc. So we looked at a bunch of clips from the 30s and asked them to create a original movie poster. So these 3 ladies had amazing examples of art. I was so proud of them, and asked them to come talk briefly about their work. So they're behind us here. Maybe you can see them. You have to move real fast, 'cause they can maybe point to them. Sorry, but this is beautiful stuff. So, Jaden, if you want to go first, then Katie, then Cece, make some space. Okay, thank you.
I chose.
Good job, Miss Rebecca. That was very.
I chose Charlie Chaplin's Modern Times right there for my subject. We watched a clip of it during class, and I found that I could do a lot with it. Modern Times acknowledges some common issues during the Great Depression, such as the Red Scare and the problem with the working class being taken advantage of as industrialism took a foothold in America. And I kind of chose to focus on more of the comedic aspect of the movie, where Chaplin's character, he causes havoc within the factory. The flames could also represent the social issues that came with the rise in industrialism.
Thank you.
So I'm Caitlin, and I chose Dracula right there. And I just thought, I'm a really big fan of Gothic literature, and I thought it might be more of a unique choice, and I just kind of thought I could take a lot of creativity, I guess, from the movie. It doesn't really directly correlate with the Great Depression because the Dracula novel was written in 1897. However, the movie was likely directed and released during the time of the Great Depression because people viewed horror and other fictional genres as a sort of escapism at the time. And so this is very likely a reason why the movie was popular at the time.
So my name is Cecil Reeves. The one that I did up there was War of the Worlds, and I was so ecstatic that in the list of like actors, movies, and shows and books that we could all do. That War of the Worlds, which is a radio drama, was one of my options. During IDLA in middle school, I had actually already listened to the radio drama, and I thought it was so fun. I actually brought it over to a friend's house so we could listen to it together, and we had so much fun designing the characters just through their voices. And so that's how I got the design idea for Carl Phillips. And then the spaceship on there and the aliens are both loosely designed off of the book and the radio drama. And I just had a lot of fun on it. The line work was done with a brush pen, and then all of the colors were done with just unmarked markers that I found in my desk drawer. It was a really fun project to work on. I had a lot of fun with it.
Any questions for our artists?
So prior to this assignment in history, were you guys aware that most of these movies and books and whatnot didn't come from like the 80s or the 90s, or they came from then? Okay.
How many of you guys were shocked that none of them had sound, except for the radio drama? You guys watched them? Did you watch the movies?
I've not watched War of the Worlds, but I heard the clips of it, but we didn't have enough time to watch or view them.
Yeah, we don't have enough time to watch the full ones, but like 5-minute clips of each one.
To get a
Watch
sense.
stage
I thought maybe they
codes.
might go home and do a little bit of homework on it. Didn't know if they did or not.
Right.
They're actually pretty good. Cool. Thank you guys so much.
Hey, thank you.
Awesome. Is that it?
Those are our 3 groups.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you so much, Chris. I think it's on you too, on your monthly building report.
Okay, our monthly building report from St. Mary's High School. Under Goal 1, you guys will see included in your board books, successfully worked through our accreditation process. Every 6 years we go up for accreditation nationally by Cognia, and proud to say we scored a 319, which the national average is a 270. So distinguished marks for St. Mary's High School in that, and I'm glad it's over. We'll have a check-in in 3 years and kind of start the process again after that. Also under there you will see ISAT math scores. Still right around the state average is 19%, which for a state or the test or whatever you want to call it, a fairly low number, but we are right on state average. We're taking some steps currently to look into teaching practices, brand new curriculum, making sure we have the right teachers in the right spots and assignments. We actually are bringing in 2 instructional coaches in the spring for 2 separate visits, just kind of put some different eyes on both of our core subjects of ELA and math, to maybe give us some insight in how we can improve or some strengths we can hang our hat on. Under Goal 2, College and Career Ready, starting to plan our Higher Ed Day, which is March 18th. 11 schools, including the military, will attend that day to give our students some access to, life beyond our doors, so we make sure they're prepared.
What date is it?
March 18th. We'll also be ASVAB testing, which is the military aptitude test in the morning, and then we'll expose them to all sorts of training opportunities in that afternoon. We've also began the planning process for our vocational expo in the spring. I believe there's a meeting tomorrow to kind of bring to light some variety of options, especially in the forest industry. Chair, I almost said you're not the chairman any longer, but Trustee Hendricks is bringing to life this Live in the Woods show. Hopefully we can pull off to, get students involved in the logging and forestry industry. But that will be held 17th and 18th of April, in which we bring in colleges, we bring in vocational, hands-on from our local industry, and kind of round up everybody at the high school and expose our our students to everything available to them through that event. Under goal 3, some construction updates. What we used to know as the goat trail is only half of a goat trail currently. Steps are going in, they're being formed. I believe concrete is scheduled to be poured in the next 10 days. And that's the first phase of construction. So if you take a chance or get a chance to drive by the high school, you can see the muddy mess that we have going on out there. But construction is underway and making progress. This coming week we have our next round of hall check and lockdown drills. We've been rehearsing in class. We'll have our IT guy on site to maybe see what we have some issues going on with our E3 app that we've piloted this fall. We've been having some issues with connectivity and Wi-Fi, so hopefully get those things ironed out during those hall check and lockdown procedures. Mr. Fedderson was on site in this last month, I believe December 9th. Going to give all of our buildings a walkthrough. He'll make it to Upriver on his next visit, but he visited all town schools on that date, met with all the admin, and kind of gave us a little rundown of pointers, maybe how we can improve and work through there. And lastly, we have our ASB representatives, student leadership from St. Mary's High School, going to talk about how our fall went.
Nice, Principal Asbury.
Hi, my name is Brenna Elliott. I'm ASB Vice President.
I'm Danica Sloper. I'm Sergeant at Arms.
I'm Avery Baird, and I'm Secretary. And we're here to talk about the highlights of the semester at the school. One thing was the volleyball pink-out game in October. It was to raise money and support those fighting breast cancer and those who have lost the battle. The donations made for the pink-out shirts we sold go to the Better Care program. And we have a lot of student support and community help and involvement in the pink-out game. We also come together and do a trunk or treat on Halloween. And we have different clubs in our school, BPA, HOSA, ASB, and the kids from every grade come up with a theme and decorate a trunk. A lot of students and staff help out. The Elks has gotten involved the past few years and has helped make the trunk or treat community celebration. It is also a good way for the students to get involved and help back.
And then when Christmas time came around, we had the Booster Club come and gave away a large amount of gifts, including gift cards, chamber bucks, candy, and AirPods for kids that were just selected. And then that week of just like before break, basically we did Christmas caroling and games to bring the school together for the holidays. And then in the mornings, the ASB, so us and then a few other girls, greeted people with candy canes and holiday music in the morning just to spread the cheer. And then back to the beginning of the year, we had Senior Sunrise. We had several volunteers help cook the breakfast, including Pina Asbury, Andrew Bassler, Jeff Zook, and Becky Holder. The students were supplying the food, and then we just had several people come, bring chairs, just chill and talk while the sun rose.
Just chill.
Also at the beginning of the year, we had homecoming. There was a lot of student involvement and community involvement during homecoming. Some of the highlights throughout homecoming week were the games that the students were involved in during lunchtime, or at the beginning of the week we did Powder Puff and Jock Scrap. We also do homecoming royalty at the Friday night football game, and 208 Power Sports donated 4 side-by-sides, and I think it was a great group of seniors that was selected for royalty. So yeah, I think that was our main highlights.
Yeah, those
throughout
really
the
good ones.
fall semester.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you
Thank
guys.
Moving on to food services. Sherry Chapin?
Yep, you have to go.
There she is.
Hello.
Hey, Sherry.
So this month I'm just sharing that our kitchens all passed their health inspections with excellent reviews, so that's wonderful. They always do a great job. I also have a spreadsheet chart that I shared with you, so I don't know if you've had a chance to look at that, but the chart shows that it shows revenue and expenses from September through December of 2023, and then the second one shows September through December of 2024. So the chart shows that we have increased our revenue over last year and then have significantly reduced the difference between revenue and expenses in comparison. I wrote down some reasons why I think that happened. I think it's multiple things. We added Second Chance Breakfast this year, which we've seen breakfast participation really increase at high school and middle school because of that. The state added Medicare to direct certified kids, so I think we're seeing more kids directly certified and maybe with parents who wouldn't normally fill out a free and reduced application. Fee increases that we did last summer for paid students, and then the state every year increases our reimbursement a little bit, so I think all of those things are helping us see higher revenue. We also noticed expenses decrease, which is we weren't expecting, but I do think it's because of some things that we've done. One thing we did was change the serving style at the high school. So we added trays and have been able to do some serving on the trays instead of pre-packaging everything, so I think our paper good cost has gone down. We also went through our menu and removed some of the higher cost items on there. And then we have been trying to utilize more DoD products from the DoD and from direct delivery and favors. So that's all things that the USDA provides to us. So I think all of those things are helping. It's a little difficult to tell what the numbers are going to look like at the end of the year. I think during the summer, last summer, we predicted that we were gonna be in the hole. We weren't quite sure how much. I'm really hopeful with the way these numbers are looking that we might just be even at the end of the year. It's kind of hard to tell because in November, December, we aren't in school for very long. And also that's the time we're building up stock, so our expenses are a little higher. And in the spring, we're in school a lot more, so our reimbursements are going to be higher. And then we're also starting to use up all that stock that we have added in the fall. So I feel good that we are looking better than we thought we were going to look.
Nice job.
Yeah.
You've done a
Yeah.
really nice
And
job.
that was it.
Yeah.
Any questions?
No, it looks like you're a lot closer to being on budget.
Yeah,
than
I'm
I
excited. I was
expected,
happy
so.
when we did these.
And
'cause
you're
it's
feeding the kids.
so hard to tell. Yes.
Yeah.
Feeding the kids, that's the most
And they're
important thing.
eating.
Can you just
Thank
explain
you.
To me about the Second Chance Breakfast, how that works in the scheduled breakfast and the Second Chance? I'm
Sure.
not familiar with
So it's only at the high school and the middle school. We do offer a Second Chance Breakfast at Hayburn, but it's more for kids that just show up late. And at Upriver, our participation is so high at the first breakfast. And then they're also good about, if a child shows up late, they'll offer them breakfast. So it's really at the high school, middle school where we've seen participation be kind of low, which is normal for high school, middle school kids to tend to not eat first thing in the morning. Studies show that these kids want to eat more like, 9 o'clock instead of 7:30.
That's actually when they wake up.
Yes, when their brains wake up.
There were 95 kids today, Sherry.
So
Oh.
between passing periods, between first and
Yes.
second, Beth?
just pass through pet. So
Between
do they
first
actually
and
go
second.
out into the?
So it's this
The 10 minutes.
each school is different. So at the high school, they go to the cafeteria. We have 3 lines. We have pre-sacked breakfasts, and they just swarm
Let 'em
in,
go.
get their PIN number in there, grab a breakfast, and then they have a little bit to eat it. And if they don't eat it in that time, they can also go to their class and finish it. And at the middle school, they go to the library, and we also have lines there. They quickly get their lunches or their Second Chance Breakfast, same thing in a sack, and they take it to their class and finish it there. So,
That's good. I'm sure it's helping the kids a lot.
yeah, we've really seen, like I said, a huge difference in participation. I mean, that's what we're seeing in the revenue is we thought, we were worried, would kids not eat first breakfast and then eat second breakfast, and so would we have the same amount of kids eating? But in reality, we see kids that we didn't used to feed. So it's wonderful. We're feeding more kids, we're getting more revenue, and we're also hopeful that all the studies show that these kids getting this breakfast helps their behavior, helps them academically. So we're,
Well, I know a lot of
it's
kids
good.
will get up first thing in the morning, eat really early, get on the bus. So they've
And maybe
left
still
home,
be
they
hungry.
ate really, really early, and by the
Right.
time lunch comes around, they're absolutely
Right.
famished.
And as we know, a lot of these high school, middle school kids growing
Yep.
and in sports, so a lot of them have these bigger appetites. So I think it's been a good thing. I've had parents call me and are grateful their kids are they're willing to pay for that second breakfast so their kids get more food. So they get a free, they actually have 2 breakfasts with us.
Oh, okay,
They'll get
so
their
the
free,
one breakfast is
they'll get
paid
their
for, it's
free
free.
breakfast, and then they'll pay $2.85 for the
For
second
the
breakfast.
second one, if
Yeah.
that is their second one
Yeah,
at school.
or their third one.
Or their
possibly.
third one, 'cause they ate at home first thing.
That's right.
I'd be in that line.
That's
For
right.
some boys, I can see how that
Oh,
would
yeah,
definitely
and we've
be
got some big
happening.
boys at our school, so, yeah. So it's really been great. I think we had teachers worried that, maybe this would be disruptive to their classes, but teachers have all said it's been a great program and they've seen improvement, so, in their just kids' behavior, so. But yeah.
Nice job on food service, and also shout out to the middle and the high school for accommodating and giving
Yes,
it a try.
no, high school and middle school has been wonderful
Yeah.
to make this happen,
It
so.
is working for
It's been great teamwork.
Yep.
All
Thank
for the
you.
kids.
Thank you so
Thank-
much, Sharon.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sherry.
All right, Jennifer Miller.
Well, don't let my lengthy board report scare you. I'll try to go through it fairly quickly. I just wanted to touch on a few things in each goal area. The first one for academic achievement. I just really wanted to highlight our partnership with Head Start, with the Head Start in St. Mary's and now the one at a Berber school. We support students with speech, motor, developmental, and behavioral needs, and also work on interventions with those students, so that if they do have some concerns, we can do some response to intervention first before referring and qualifying for special education. So we've seen some great success with that. And then for those students who do need a referral, we move forward. And then Jenny Short, who just happens to be here, I'm going to embarrass her. Don't let her fool you. She's small but mighty. She does an outstanding job supporting and organizing all of the early intervention for Head Start and our preschool program. She's our ECSC, Early Childhood Special Education teacher. So if you have not met her, that's the amazing Jenny Short.
Give a shout out, Jenny Short. There you go. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. It's dynamite.
It is amazing.
There's a nice
And then our
attendance.
contracted SLP, OT, and CODA also support those programs. So it's really helpful in supporting our kindergarten teachers because they're getting lots and lots of services before they enter kindergarten. So it's exciting, and Jenny's just rocked that. So I'm thankful for her. Under goal number 2, our high school special education teacher, Shannon Cloud, is working very closely, has been and continues to work closely with VOC Rehab and a VOC Rehab specialist that comes about once a month to work with our students in special education on college and career readiness. And so they just create a plan. All IEPs have to have a transition plan. I don't know if you knew that. Starting at age 16. So this person just helps support that. But Shannon does an amazing job keeping that organized. So shout out to Shannon, who is not here, I don't think. As far as goal number 3, safe, healthy, and inviting place. Hearing screenings have been completed for kindergarten, 1st, and 3rd grade students at Hayburn, whose parents provided permission. We had some who didn't, so those kids were not assessed or screened. And then kind of the big gist of this goal is a survey went out to principals, special education teachers, and SPED paraprofessionals just to see what kind of support they could use. They were always needing and wanting more training. So based on that information that I received, 2 different trainings have been created. The first one is going to be on January 24th, and this is a unique one. I worked with our behavior techs in each building, except for the high school. They don't have a behavior tech, but our behavior techs are going to be the ones presenting this training to certified and classified staff. They're the ones that are in the classrooms every day, seeing what's happening with teachers and students, and know kind of how they can direct their training specific to each building. So those people are Winnie Chatney at Hayburn, Nancy Bechtel is at the middle school, and then Amanda Paisley is at a River School. And then they'll also incorporate the high school at some point, just not on the 24th. Some areas of focus are understanding and responding to behavior, creating a supportive environment, implementation of boundaries and appropriate reinforcers, And it also meets the, if you're familiar with HB 281, the legislative bill, I think this is our third year in it. It also meets the criteria for HB 281, which incorporates de-escalation, positive behavior supports, and classroom management. So, checking off the box on that one. Then on February 3rd, we have, as I've expressed before, many students with autism in our district. And so some of the staff were really wanting some additional training with autism. So we have a representative from SESTA, which is a branch of the State Department, coming in. Her name is Stacy Deneen, excuse me. And so she will be doing an autism training with teachers and paraprofessionals on February 3rd. And then just to highlight discipline for students with disabilities, I have some links. I don't know if you saw the links in your board report. So there's about 150 pages of light reading if you'd like to take a look at that. I'm not going to go into that in depth with you, but just to kind of give you a broad perspective, we do follow state law that's outlined in our special education manual, along with each school's individual behavior matrix, which I'm sure you've seen. District personnel, you or principals, can suspend a student, any student with special needs, up to 10 cumulative school days in a year. Even if a disciplinary action is to suspend or expel a student after those 10 days, FAPE is still to be provided. So just to make you aware, for those of you who aren't, we still service those students if they are on an IEP after 10 days. And we've done that a few times. This is a rarity. Most of them, 90% are following just the basic guidelines and disciplinary procedures that are followed. But for those few, they may have been educated at the district office. I've educated a student at the public library in Fernwood before. So it just kind of depends on the students and what their needs are. For those students specifically, though, we always do a functional behavioral assessment and create a behavior intervention plan to help support them, which becomes part of their IEP. So it's very, very minimal, very specific, but I'm always happy to go into more detail with you if you'd like to know more in that respect. Or if you want to go over the 150 pages with me. And then lastly, communication with parents in the community. Each year, IDA collects feedback from parents and families of students with disabilities, and our district is in the cohort from the State Department that will be surveying parents this year. So we're looking forward to getting some parent feedback on special education this spring. Okay. Any questions? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to Dr. Arkush.
But the rest are written reports. Unless, yeah. So unless you have any specific questions, yeah.
Yeah, you will.
Those are the.
We're so excited to hear about it every time. Every time.
I get to break it.
Any questions about written reports? Right.
I'll add that the principals, including myself, in the next board meeting, will have our mid-year data points to be able to share out our progress and achievement towards each of our 4 goals in our strategic plan.
All right. University of Idaho Extension Program.
Yeah. So I'm going to bring Lauren King and Madison Sultan, extension educators, if you will, along with Principal Carson. They're going to talk about an exciting educational pilot or opportunity for our middle school students, and then based on how well that goes, we can talk about expanding or growing the program. And I'm going to hand it over to you 3.
Bridget almost hijacked my chance to brag on my building. I've been excited all night. It's not my night to share my board report, but hopefully you remember from December that I introduced this idea of an EARTH elective. So EARTH standing for engineering, agriculture, range, technology, and horticulture.
You have that memorized, right?
Yes. I was approached by these 2 young ladies with a really, really awesome opportunity for our kids. They want to come in from the outreach from 4-H, from our U of I collaboration, and come in and expose our kids to some really cool things. So along with my board report, if you want to refer to the syllabus, you can see what their plan is, what they're planning to cover, and also a little bio. Lauren King
from the U of I. She's an assistant professor and extension educator with a BS in wildlife resources and also a bachelor in rangelands ecology management. And she's also worked on a master's in natural resources. So she's going to be one of the leads for this project. We're so excited. And then Madison Stoughton, no relation to Paul.
Yeah.
At
Same
all.
name, different family.
At all. No relation. She's the program coordinator with the U of I. She also has her Bachelor's of Science in Animal and Veterinary Science Production. She's also working on her master's. These guys are going to be in front of our kids, and they'll share. But they're passionate about the logging industry is so important to our community, but there's so many other areas to career exploration. And so I'm excited for our kids to explore range and agriculture. So they've got quite the syllabus ready for us. Lots of supplies and materials. Joe can attest. There's lots of materials in our building right now. 3D printers, lots of different things that our kids are going to be exposed to. So Nikki and I are working hard on getting as many kids onto the rosters as we can. But this year would just be kind of a little teaser, and then we would build it in as long as it grows and it's successful. We'll build it into our master schedule for next year, so all kids would get an opportunity to be exposed to this.
Dinette, it's okay.
Oh, should we mention it's free? It's free. U of I.
I saw the eyes go up.
Sorry, Dinette. There's a little bit about the AmeriCorps and how it's been funded to the U of I. We're very fortunate that they're here and that it's free.
We're not charging you guys anything. No. Okay. It's free.
Yes.
I just saw the eyes about when you said master schedule. Go ahead.
Yeah, Maddie and I are funded by the U of I, and then we got funding from our supervisor to have that AmeriCorps helping us teach it. So, Victoria kind of gave a good overview of what questions you guys have, if any. I know it's kind of broad, but
We can kind of break down the sections a little bit. So each of those we're going to run in 3-week sections, covering as much as we can in those 3 weeks. And then at the end of the year, we'll kind of wrap up with doing some resume building and some interview skills for those kids. And so then at the end of each section, we'll bring in some industry professionals to talk to the kids about some things that, like, okay, you really like the snap circuits, so what kind of career can you do that has to do with electricity and that sort of stuff, just to kind of round everything out to get that real world aspect of it.
Great.
Do you have availability for field trips, like for the
I don't know about this year,
livestock or
because
horticulture or
we
any?
thought about that. I think with the agriculture section, we're kind of taking the farm to table side of that sort of thing, so that farm to plate, so how you get how the beef, gets to be in a store and onto your plate, and kind of all that sort of thing. So we talked about doing some field trip stuff, but I don't think it's
Even
not
if you could
quite
take
in the
them down to
budget
U
this
of
year.
I to see the beautiful
Yes.
cattle down
Yeah,
there
they
that
have a lot of cool
they have, that
stuff down
beautiful
there.
herd they have down there.
These fields are ready. They're very prepped, and so I hope it grows into that for this
Yes.
year.
Right.
For this
Yeah.
year,
Trying to keep it
there's
simple.
So many materials.
There's so much
outreach
stuff.
Oh,
stuff.
sure they
I
do.
mean, when I say supplies, that they fill the room.
The
So
the
so
shop
we're
classroom
excited.
is full.
Yeah,
at
we're
the
excited to
moment.
offer as elected, and then when it grows, potentially, who knows, after school program or some field trip, something, with even more interaction.
And I know we talked about at the end of the units, bringing some of the sample student projects
Yes.
back for a display
tuned,
for
we'll
the
be back.
Yes.
board members, yeah.
And then the horticulture field trip, I'll be bringing in trees and stuff that we can grow in the classroom. We'll be starting vegetable starts and everything. My previous position, I was actually down at U of I in Moscow, helping run the forest nursery down there. And so I have all sorts of horticulture background. Despite my degrees not being in forestry, my professional career has been in forestry. It's kind of how it works here.
Thank you. We're excited.
Thank you very much.
Yep. Yes.
Question. So with that said, this Live in the Woods thing,
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Blake
I know.
Manley
Here we
Yeah.
go.
coming on. Okay, just so we're
Yeah.
all on the same page there, we're meeting here Wednesday night at 4. So I don't
If
know
you
if
can
you wanna,
attend.
we're just kinda trying to get going here, so,
Okay.
anyway, but if you wanna be involved in that, that would just be super cool.
Okay.
I think, feel.
All right. I will see what I can do if I can get here at 4 o'clock Wednesday.
Okay. Well, and we, if you want in the loop, just get ahold of Blake or one of us or something, and we can kinda get you, okay, the next meeting will be whenever it is, so,
Blake Manley?
yeah.
Okay.
We'll keep you in the loop.
Perfect. Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.
We can get a hold of that, so.
So is this gonna be a class that'll be a whole year next year, or just half of,
That's the
just one
goal.
semester?
Yes,
That's
right
the
now,
goal.
we're just sustaining the semester, but that's the goal. These girls have a 5-year plan, is what I hear.
Yeah.
So, yeah, eventually, and again, exposed to, or, not exposed, but all students have the opportunity to partake.
So this is an elective that's available to 6th, 7th, or 8th?
Just depends on our schedules. Yeah,
Or-
we're gonna try to, we're gonna try to remove as many variables and get it going and get it sustained. So depending on the schedules, and Nikki is a guru with schedules, but it's also, we're coming down to semester. So we're gonna do what we can to put as many kids in the classroom as we can.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Starting to build the funnel.
Right. Joe, you'll have to put some bags full of baby trees on there and some hodags and have the kids go plant some trees.
There you go.
Yeah.
Get some work out of them.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Next up
That
is
will steer
NASA.
them right out of a career.
Yeah.
All right. Artemis Roads 3.
Yes.
Yeah, we have Kelly Feesine, who is our after-school program director, and our students were involved in this program last year, so she is here to give us a little background about the program. And then later
Okay.
on, we would sign the MOU agreement. I'll hand it over to you, Kelly.
So last year, we participated in the NASA Roads Artemis 2 Challenge. So this year, it's Artemis 3 Challenge. The kids work on about 8 missions. So the first mission is they're documenting what they've done. So that one kind of runs, obviously, the whole length of the program, because at the end, they'll submit it to Central Washington University, and it will be reviewed by NESB, who is the Northwest Earth, Space, and Science Pathways. So, so the second mission, they designed a mission patch, they got a team name. The third mission, what were we doing? Oh,
The water.
the water cycle. So they went through and learned about the water cycle, and then this last week we made water filters, which was really awesome. So, and part of the reason we need to get this contract signed is I guess we've kind of been put on the list. They are still not sending me my supplies. So I without that contract, it looks like I'm not gonna, well, I won't get to participate in this, and then, yeah, and there's supplies. So there was actually a water testing pen that would have been real helpful last week. But we may redo the water filters when we get the pen, so it'll work out. Then they do a growing food on the moon, so they'll do some planting of plants and setting up some variables with that. We do roving under the moon. So this year with the, we have, my program last year purchased 6 Spike Lego robots. And so this year we'll have those 6 for the kids to use. And then NESB also has loaned us one, so we have 7 altogether. So the kids will be divided into teams, and each team is going to try to get their Lego robot programmed so that it can run through a tunnel without running into the walls and making the turns. So, yeah, wish us luck. We're also going to be designing a rocket. So we did this last year, and I did it for all the kids, so K through 5, everybody got to design a rocket. And then we launched them as like a group activity with parents, and it was just an awesome evening. The kids had a great time. I think we launched probably 50 rockets that day. So, and they're just water rockets. They go about 50 feet in the air, and people stand back, and it's all, we make some rules. Yeah, it's safe. So, and then kind of their last thing they're supposed to, the last 2 things is they're supposed to envision their role. What job at NASA could they do? So kind of looking at future. And then the last is everything we've put on the slideshow, they'll be turning in. So right now we have 7 teams. So they're 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders who attend our program. And the kids don't come every day, but Monday through Thursday we work on this. 3rd, 4th, and 5th are not doing homework this year. So this gives us something educational to do with them. And it too is free. In fact, last year they paid for our bus to go down to the hub event in Moscow. So that was something I would like to take. Last year we took 11 kids, and this year I'd like to take more, maybe 20, and take them down. It was a great experience. The kids will tell you the best part was lunch, because they got to eat in the cafeteria, and it's, you know, you get to pick what you want to eat. And a lot of them have never gotten to do that, so they just were so excited. But they give the kids a tour of the campus. And then we spent the day learning about robotics. They had several different activities for the kids to do. We got to launch our rocket with other teams that were there launching their rockets. Ours won, I think, but don't tell anybody. It's not really a competition. So
Yes, it is.
Always that teacher saying we
So
won.
yeah, but these are all the things that if the contract doesn't go through, we're not going to get to do. We can still do the challenge part of the program, so we can still teach the lessons, but they won't have the opportunity to go to Moscow. They won't be able to turn their stuff in and get prizes and things back from NESB. So those are all reasons I would really like you to sign the contract so we can move forward.
Thanks, Kelly.
Thank you so much.
You're
So,
welcome.
quick question, so this is all done in the after-school program?
Yes.
Okay.
So-
And it's available to all the kids that are participating?
It's available to 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders.
3rd, 4th, and 5th grade.
Yeah.
Oh, you said something about K up. that
Well,
those
the
ones that-
rockets,
The rock, just that
just
rocket
that one thing, because I could take it down to a lower level with them, and
Yeah.
they needed a lot more help than the 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders. In fact, the rocket that was the really good one of our kids got kind of excited, and he took the bottle home and he worked on it at home and brought back this amazing rocket. So some of it is how far do the kids want to take it?
Right.
And so the little ones, a lot more help, a lot more.
Yeah, but it gets them excited for when
It gets
they're,
them,
it
and
wants them
I
to be
have a lot of
participating in
2nd graders who are begging me to be
I
part of it.
bet.
But this is NASA's rules, not mine.
Right.
3rd, 4th, and 5th are who's allowed to participate. Perfect. And
Thank
the little kids get to do other things.
Yeah, but they
So-
get to watch.
And they get to watch.
And they get to watch
See.
and
Yep.
and want
What's
to
coming.
You gotta have
dream.
something to look forward
Yep,
to
you
always,
gotta be
right?
old enough.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Thanks for working with the kids on
Yeah,
this.
thanks, Mr.
Oh,
Kelly.
you're
Kelly very much.
That's
Sounds
why
like
we wanted
they
to sign
really
the
enjoy it.
Yep.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
The pictures were great.
Awesome.
Said it was safe.
Two of them must have been shot.
We'll bring Mark at it.
Oh, on that rocket.
That
thing?
was a picture.
Oh, that was in
Yeah,
that,
the
oh.
kids.
Keep it in the
Yeah, that's
White
cool.
House. Over there.
Gary?
Five minutes? I probably won't need it. I'll try to keep it short. You know, ready. Good evening. I wasn't planning on speaking tonight, but I seen the contract for the superintendent was up for renewal. And I kind of wanted to echo some things that I said last year. First of all, I don't support contracts for public employees. Very few of the people who pay the taxes and the salaries of the government employees have a guarantee of their income for a year, yet alone multiple years. We all work day to day and can be fired at any any time. And it's always been discouraging that you see a lot of contracts coming into the public sector, but not so much, obviously, in the private sector for the average person. The Declaration of Independence states that we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal and endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. Among them are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, or in the Idaho Constitution, the right to property. So we are all equal, but there's no guarantee of income or contracts. I would ask that the board limit any contract signed this year to a one-year contract and to look at moving away from contracts for employees so that their employment is at will and is the same as those of us paying the bills in the private sector. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to the superintendent report.
You have a hard copy? I don't have my computer right now. I'm good. You have a hard copy. I'm going to keep it short for the sake of timeliness tonight. I guess my two messages in the superintendent report would be in terms of our vision for all of our students and the markers that are used to evaluate my performance. Those messages I think will be sprinkled throughout tonight's discussion. So, and then other than that, it's just calendar dates, which you're all familiar with, and happenings around the school district. And highlights, I always like to highlight students, staff, and our families. And a report unless you have questions.
CPR classes full-fledged.
Yeah, CPR classes are underway. We had a class this Saturday, and we have some more scheduled throughout the year. Give an opportunity for staff to either be recertified or get their first aid CPR certification.
Awesome.
We'll have the heat next time. We just want to keep it lively, keep everybody moving.
All right, we're going on the first reading of the cell phone policy.
Oh, yeah. So, I need to grab my computer.
Oh, the entry, I'm sorry, you skipped over one, sorry.
Oh, yeah, because I'll grab my computer for the cell phone.
My fault. St. Mary's High
Yes.
School. Secure entryway.
Joe, I might need your help on this one. So, we've talked about a more secure entryway for the high school, if you will. And Mark Feddersen had a chance to look at this latest design. We had a more extensive one drawn up by our architect, Corey Trapp. Then, I guess we retracted to this option. Simpler, a little more cost-effective, and still offers as much security as we're looking for. So, what you have there, the entryway, when they buzz in, we'll extend that entryway so there'll be two doors like all the other schools will have to buzz in, if you will. And there's cameras already, so the people in the office can see the entryway. What Chris Asbury and the office secretaries have been tracking is there's very few people who need to enter the building. They're often entering that new entryway to drop off something, school supply, food for the kids. So they would just leave it there. Now, if they enter the entryway, buzz in, you have the camera, and they say, I am entering for a meeting, then somebody in the office would escort them to the main office. Because otherwise, when they enter, they can go, you know how it is. Right. When you enter the high school, you can go right down the ramp, or you can peel off to the cafeteria. So there would be an escort. Now, while we designed this plan, ADA compliance came into the picture, and so you'll see a little lift, wheelchair lift, that we would add at the bottom of the stairs by the cafeteria.
The ramp wasn't in compliance?
No, the ramp is definitely not
Go trail.
too steep.
You're talking about the entrance coming from Go
No,
Trail.
no. I'm talking about when you enter the high school.
From the main door.
From the main door at the.
You know, there's a ramp.
Coming in from the teacher's parking lot.
There's a ramp going up.
Yeah, I've got it, guys. I'm trying to figure out where the vertical platform is So I see two different floor plans here. So are these all one, is what you're
It's
saying?
one.
I think it's split because it's
One
longer
is
in
coming
between or
from
something.
the upper parking lot, and
Right.
one is coming from as if you're walking up the GO Trail in those doors.
That's what my question was.
You've
So I'm
got
looking
two
at the one where
different-
the vertical lift is, that looks like it's coming up
The
from the
vertical lift is right there by the cafeteria,
By the stairs.
of the cafeteria. So it's the GO Trail's way down here.
But
So
this is the
is-
entrance from the GO
This is the entrance.
Okay.
So this is the upper parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
Now they would add, you go down the stairs as you're about to enter the front doors of the high school. Now we would add an entryway, so there's it's a two-door entrance with buzz-in, intercom, cameras. Then you have, now you go down that ramp that's not ADA compliant, it's too steep, or you peel off to the cafeteria. So at the end of the ramp, or if you go up into the cafeteria and down the stairs where the, what do you call it, vending machine is, for those of you who know where that is, we would have this little wheelchair lift. It's at the end of the ramp.
Right. So what's that door next to the vehicle? What's the door going to? That's next to the vehicle. Or
Up at the top here, where we,
Down below.
where, the lift is from there's about 3 stairs up to the cafeteria, so the lift is dropping them to the main floor, where the main office is, and the classrooms.
Can this be put up on the TV?
This lift looks like it's
I
by the
can't.
back door, that's why I'm asking.
You wanna explain, try another way to explain it, Joe?
If you're coming in from the
Or maybe Principal P.
staff parking lot above, you'll come in and there's the ramp going up to the multipurpose room and then down. The one down is an ADA compliant, the one up will suffice because of the distance. They'll go up there, any wheelchair accessibility, then they'll go in there, get on the lift, and move down to the office.
The
To
main floor,
office level.
where the
Which
classrooms.
the doors of the GO Trail are right
Ye-
there.
Yes, yes.
That's what I was stating right
Correct,
here.
yes.
That's what I'm seeing.
Yes,
That's
that's
what
the,
I was
that's
identifying.
main office, and then the 2 doors to the GO Trail.
So then the
And-
existing office space will stay the same?
Correct, and one of the office staff and Principal Peen, or Principal Asbury is here, and Mark Feddersen spoke to leaving the office as it is because you have a lot of student traffic in and out of the GO Trail, right? Start of school, end of school, and then every passing period. And there's extra visual for the office staff to watch the kids coming up into that entry.
And
Is there a lockdown from the bottom entry going in? Sorry, I didn't cut you. I
no, go
apologize.
ahead.
Is there a lock-in? Is there a lockdown coming in from the GO Trail? No different?
Are the doors locked?
Yeah, is there gonna be another secondary entrance?
No,
on there?
there's not.
This is just
Not
for
at this
people
point.
using.
There are 2 doors there,
They're not 2-door entry.
the students buzz in on the exterior door.
Then they're in.
The second door is not secured at this time.
Okay. So the idea is to secure the front entrance?
Correct.
No
Which
other
all of the
entrances?
designs were all about the front entrance at this point.
Okay.
So along with,
And the,
along with the closing off of Meadowhurst Road
Mhm.
during school hours,
that's an added
that
security,
will be reducing outside traffic to
From-
the school
Yeah,
campus
correct.
area. I mean, granted,
Correct.
it's not fenced, it's not locked, in by any kind of a barrier, but it
It's
does
another
add
control, yeah.
one more layer.
Right, to mitigate.
I'm all
outside.
about safety and prevention, but I don't mean to be the elephant in the room, but having a secondary entrance for a main entrance from the first place
Mhm.
for a lockdown reason, right?
Mhm.
Without locking down the rest of the campus particularly, for any building, it's like, having signs up saying that people need to go this direction. If someone wants to do harm, they're gonna go into the GO Trail. So I'm all about the first entrance. I'm just stating this out loud. I'm all about
Yeah.
locking down, creating secondary entrances.
Sure.
My wonder, and maybe Ping can answer this for me, how do we control the rest of it? It'd be like saying,
Build a new building.
guns aren't allowed here. People that follow rules are gonna follow that rule, right? So we're gonna go into the main entrance. If we're making that's the whole purpose of this, is to create a secondary lock.
So I think the GO
Protection.
Trail door is locked.
It's
a
locked,
buzz in.
there's a buzz in, and there's a
Yeah.
lot of extra visual for the office.
I'm just trying to figure out the choke point, so I love this idea. This is a great idea.
It's a
So-
step in the right direction.
It is a step in the right direction.
The original plan was only to focus on that north side entry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's why
Right.
we're focused there, because that's where the board wanted it fixed.
I'm just wondering.
And you're putting a
No, good
second
questions.
set of buzz-in doors up above, right, coming from the teacher's
Yeah.
parking lot?
Yeah.
8 out of 10 people
Correct.
that visit the school, like, taking stats over the last month.
Yeah.
8 out of 10 are there to drop off something. They don't need that many.
Right. They
Drop
can
it
just
off
go
and
right
go get
there.
it.
Right.
So we're already keeping that amount of traffic out, unless they need to physically come in. And they're in a vestibule, that's the style in all school safety now, is the vestibule entry with 2 doors, walked in,
Right.
enter door.
Right.
It just puts more time and more eyeballs on people.
Yeah, it's a good idea. I like what we have this, middle school, same one.
Yep.
Situation, perfect.
Same principle.
Have you been up
And
River
much cheaper
seen
than trying to
since they-
rebuild the
Yeah,
whole thing.
They put in
Right.
that new,
Yeah,
you come in,
I don't think there is.
right,
About a quarter of the
I love
cost
it.
to do
Yeah.
the same thing.
yeah.
I'm just,
It-
yeah, at the same time, I was like, so this is just where we're starting, is what we're saying.
So,
It's a confusing picture for sure.
Well,
Yeah, it would take you
I
a
saw it the
minute
way,
to-
that's why I was asking,
yeah.
like, it makes sense to me as I'm seeing it, I was like,
I
are we
didn't
just controlling the one
recognize
entrance,
the
or we're doing more
lift
than
at
one?
Yeah, I was looking at it, and
There
I
are
was
double
like,
doors.
okay, you know where the vending
no.
machine is.
I know what
Now
it
you
is
know
now.
what it's
Buzzable
doing
and
now,
lockable,
yeah.
Buzzable and lockable.
So you're
That's just
actually,
the
if you're
major
coming
flow
in,
of
you're coming up
traffic.
here,
Sure.
and then you go down to the
Yeah.
So having
office.
2 buzzers
Or
for
you come in
kids
here and you go up,
all day long, and
so kids with broken legs.
I know, it's hard to prevent that.
So kids with broken legs, that happen
the
every
nature
day.
of our campus being
Problem
split.
is going to be when one comes through the door, the other one's going through the door,
Yeah.
you're not gonna be able to buzz each.
I think that's one of the reasons, Mark Feddersen recommended leaving the office where it is. There's extra windows and visual for the office people to watch
To see everything.
kids, yeah, or people coming up the
Because they
door.
see
Probably
them
I
coming
do
right
see
to the
that.
Yeah,
entrance.
before you even see the camera.
Perfect.
So
The cost of
we
this,
have staffing that is committed to that escorting.
to being able to stay there, yes.
So as somebody does say, no, I need to come talk to the office, I'm not just dropping something off, I mean, they're not getting in without
They're
an
gonna buzz you
escort,
in if
that is
there's-
committed.
There'll be a buzz. There's 2 cameras to pass before you get buzzed in, unless you're
intercom.
scheduled for a meeting. You're on a list that says I have 10 o'clock with somebody.
If parents
Then
can
you
come
will
bring
be-
their kids in, I'm sure.
Yeah, if you need to bring something, just leave it and leave campus.
But if somebody just shows up and doesn't have a pre-arranged appointment, there is commitment to that
Someone will go.
escorting.
Correct.
This is just phase 1 for us getting,
Yeah, so the cost in this was 75 to 100,000 versus the original design, where we were doing some revamping, was 325 to 350,000. So it's very cost efficient, while taking the next step in added security.
okay.
And feasible to complete this summer.
Is that coming through the grants at all?
No, some of the plant facilities money that we set aside for security and safety of the buildings. And then we would come back, we'd go through,
Okay.
we'd go through the bid process to look to add, an addendum with Geno Construction.
Perfect. That's what we discussed with her.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay. Cool, awesome. Thank you.
Thank
Any
you.
questions, you guys? All right. On to the first reading of Board Policy 3110, cell phone policy.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull up the first draft on the computer here in a minute, and if you, I know you're in Assembly on the meeting side, but if you wanna get in Assembly on the policy side, then you can see the first draft, 3110 cell phone.
Is that in the work in progress?
It's actually in Board Manual Part 2. And then type in, or you can go to the homepage.
You can time out.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's in the board manual policy part 2?
Yeah, or on the homepage.
Click on it twice.
Only the CCW.
Yeah, so you'd have to clear your filter and then type in cell phone. in the search bar,
You can sign out and just go to policies right there.
or that.
You point to. Meeting.
Oh, and technically challenge. Where was
Use your tech buddy.
Part two?
It's the strategy we use in the classroom.
It is number 31.
I'm looking at him now. I'm looking.
You
He's
click on the 30.
flying. He's soaring in the tech world now. See, Beth was the original teacher.
Cell phone internet adopted.
Found it.
Yeah,
31
yeah, you're probably in the board manual.
What do the
I just
staff
went-
think of the policy?
I just went to search and typed in 31 times.
Well, I think fine. I mean, we've been talking about it since summer. We had similar, if you look at our current policy, 505, and then you look at the new updated version, we had similar restrictions and cell phone limitation use during the school day. And so this is just an opportunity to update the cell phone policy in line with Blaine. We're looking at Blaine County. Remember we looked at Blaine County and we talked to yep. So this policy follows or mirrors a lot of Blaine County's cell phone policy. They've had a couple years of success with their implementation. And I can cross-reference our current policy with the updated one, and you'll see a lot of similarity. And what's that?
So it says
Number 1 at me. Got it. And then, what else was I gonna say? I mean, we have a couple principals here who can speak to starting off the school year, sharing, limited use of the cell phone. And I've heard resounding responses from the staff of how they appreciate the fact that the cell phones are supposed to be put away, or are put away during the academic day. There's some research out there as the state has interviewed different kids, particularly in Blaine County, but in a couple other districts who have adopted a similar policy where kids are responding they didn't think they'd like it and have discovered that they do appreciate that downtime. So I can go by, so it's very similar to our current policy in terms of why we want to restrict use of the cell phone during the school day, definition of devices, when there's restrictions to the use of the cell phone, when they're permitted to use a cell phone before school, basically, and after school. That we do understand there's emergency cases or might be a medical condition where a student would have a cell phone.
So it says.
And there's always a way, there's always a way for parents, guardians to reach their child. Go ahead, Seth.
I was just reading, it says, students permitted to use cell phone the following times and locations, before and after school, at school activities outside of school hours, or during passing periods and lunchtime for the high school only.
Correct.
Comments, principals?
I don't see a need for cell phones at all in the school, but
I'm just wondering, why are we not mirroring all throughout, is what I'm wondering, why are we just doing that for high school?
yeah.
And if so,
Well, we have Principal Asbury. I don't want to put him on the spot. He might be able to speak to that a little bit. And if you look at Blaine counties, they follow a similar format with their high school.
Yeah, when we spoke with Superintendent of Blaine County, kind of our jumping off point. Granted, we just really piloted this to start the year to see where we were headed with it. From an observation or a policing standpoint, 300 kids crammed in the hallway to monitor and grabbing a phone, like you're gonna see a fish swimming upstream, to try to do that is, and our campus is stretched out, so between the gym and the shop and up the goat trail, you have to have somebody down there monitoring in between classes, and, it's, yeah, I don't know how it would happen,
So
honestly.
one of our reasons for allowing that basically is because we can't monitor that?
Can't monitor also, and I think if we teach our students and our young people correctly, and our expectation is that you use them responsibly, and they get 4 minutes to get it out of their system, we haven't seen issues. Students at lunch are more engaged and interactive. Most of the time they put it in their bag, and they've been trained, it just stays there. So.
Also, in rolling this out, since it's newer for the high school, right? Like, as we roll this policy out and these procedures out, K-12 over the course of the years, in terms of being able to police it and teaching kids when and how to be responsible with the cell phone during the day, as they come through the elementary and know that's the expectation, don't have them out at all during the school day. And as they move through the middle school, you don't have them out at all during the school day. It could be an easier rollout to add that back in at the high school for freshmen, sophomores, juniors, seniors. See what I'm saying? Because you want to be able to police it. You also want to teach them the right thing, and then you want credibility that if we say this is the rule, we can follow through.
Always about encourage responsibility.
Yeah.
Well,
So
the
it might be something to
responsibility
roll. It might be
piece-
something to roll into.
The responsibility piece, especially with like juniors and seniors, I'm just
Right.
sitting here reflecting on what my kids' life was like when they were juniors and seniors. And they are beginning to have those adult responsibilities.
More
And so
self-regulation.
to limit them and not let them, in today's world where people
You're teaching them to
outside
be
of
a young
school in their after-school adult world are expecting to be able to have that communication if something is changing through the day. So, because, we're not just always raising kids, we're raising adults, right? So, at some point, these kids are slowly moving into those adult responsibilities.
Yeah.
So,
Good point.
To piggyback, as we go through the years, these kids are gonna be so unused to having cell phones that having them introduced is like a big privilege, but then they're gonna see that responsibility piece. And of course, if it's abused, well then, fucking but, yeah. But I'm just remembering what my kids were going through in those later high school years, and that there are those responsibilities that they had that they needed to be able to communicate.
I feel like communication is most important in every aspect. And as we're training to be adults, we're really training them to go out in the workforce as well.
Right.
There's rules in every workforce. My guys have their cell phones out there on the cell phones during my time. I'm gonna reprimand them, and eventually I'm gonna fire them. No different. Communication is obviously important when it's needed, right? And sometimes communication's needed for the workforce, right?
And this is teaching them that it's at appropriate times of the day. It's not all the time. It isn't, when you're at work, you're not allowed to just be on your phone all day long, even if you're in an office job. It's just not productive for your employer. And so it's teaching them that responsibility piece.
So what are the pros and cons of having kids use cell phones during an educational setting?
Well,
That'd be a good question we can ask ourselves.
It's at lunch or during the passing periods in quick communication, so it's teaching them to be able to handle things quickly and move on and get back to the task at hand.
And I'm just asking this, like, what are the pros and cons for them being able to use that in between passing periods? Pros and cons.
I think one thing comes to mind, if you're fresh out of a class where you just had a pop quiz per se, that second incoming class would have the opportunity to get a heads up. And whether that's passing on some piece of information, hey, watch out for question number 2, it was a trick question.
These are cons you're saying.
There could be some cons with that, but I mean, that's,
Those are abuses that you watch
yeah,
for.
those
so.
would be some things
Yeah.
to watch out for.
Yeah.
On the positive side of it, I don't know, I actually think that some of the separation from not having, just being able to jump right back to it is a good thing. But there's also that piece where parents throughout the day, you know, updating to a doctor's appointment, the family's schedule, or, you know, bus time is, I'm sure that gets communicated, but mom and dad do need to reach out at times and just let them know, hey, you do need to get a hold of Johnny for a ride home or something along those lines. You know, I think that those are, having that access is still.
I don't think the biggest concern to me is communication by any means. Like cell phones, for me, it's big to have communication, be able to communicate with my kids, or anybody for that matter. I think the biggest struggle that I have with cell phones comes social media. And that is psychologically affecting those that are still developing. We say we like the social aspect of high school, of junior high, of public situations. But what part of that does that become an issue? And obviously we can't control social media, right? But we can control how often they're on their cell phones and engaging that during their settings. And I think that's really the biggest issue that we've seen here. I mean, that's personally what I see, you know, through social media are the negative effects that we saw in different reports. I see that as a big issue.
Well, getting them out of the classroom and not having them constantly going, and drawing their attention every time they hear a buzz going, ooh, what, where, what, and drawing their minds away from the task at hand is going to be huge.
I feel that it reminds them that, you know, if they put them away, they can breathe and function without them. We've got so many things, so many people that, I mean, my God, that's all that they think is, you know, they lose their phone, and so it's like, oh my God, where's my phone? Are you able to breathe? Are you able to function? You know, I mean,
Yeah, they should be able to make it 8 hours without having it.
exactly.
Yeah.
One of my best days was when I went to Spokane and left my phone at home. I got to the first place I was going, and I at least had to tell my family I didn't have my phone, so they didn't think I had crashed or something, because people get used to being able to get to you.
You had to find a phone?
That's the point.
They don't have pay phones. I had to ask somebody to text my daughter and tell her that, you know, send the family message. I don't have my phone. It was great not having my phone. It was great. It was great. Great day.
I think that's one thing that I've learned, especially whenever we're in areas where we don't have our, you know, our direct communication or line to us. It definitely brings back a different aspect. There's a time before where we didn't have to be checked on, that we all depended on each other in communication and keeping our words, saying we're going to be here at a certain time. These types of things that we developed without having phones would be like, let me text an excuse, let me give a reason, let me find something else. And there's pros and cons to this. And I mean, I think restricting cell phones is definitely an important thing. In my personal opinion, I think that how we restrict them, and that the problem is the way I want to restrict them, what I feel like affects kids most, it's not something we can always control. And that's that social media aspect, right? So how do we allow that prevention, you know, the best way we can during the hours in which we feel like that.
Well, and when everybody doesn't have access to a camera and a video, kids are free to be kids. It's like, just, I couldn't even imagine what that would be like. You know, you think
Well,
back of
I can't, my daughter literally would do this.
Nothing's safe anymore. You can't go anywhere
No.
without being recorded, some way, somewhere.
Yeah, I don't mind being
somehow.
recorded so much,
But when you were a kid, I mean, I just am so thankful I was able to be a kid. Just be a kid.
So as per this policy, you guys launched a program similar to this already this year, you're saying? It was already a kind of a, how's it going?
Great.
No issues whatsoever?
Teachers love it. We've had, I don't have the numbers in front of me, maybe 10
Violations?
repeat offenders.
Yeah.
The third time, a couple that have been 4-timers that have been suspended.
Okay.
And that's not per se because of the phone, it's because of insubordination.
Right.
Been told 3 times, so now you're insubordinate, so we will have a suspension date.
Right.
Have you already been implementing where parents have to come get the phone?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
In the middle
Because these consequences are, you know, they're consistent.
I have a dozen phones still in the safe.
Really?
Awesome.
Keep them, I'll get them in June.
So that means their parents feel that they don't need them also.
Yes.
A couple of students actually took their parents' phones, so I have parents' phones.
Oh, wow.
Whoa.
And they haven't come to get their own
Now,
phone.
has anybody been following legislation right now on the cell phone
Yeah.
ordeal? What does it look like in mirror to this, or in
This
in
is very,
comparison to
and
this?
there's a checklist that the state recommends, so we mirrored that, to make sure we had all those components in here.
Okay.
Like,
So if legislation does
th-
pass, there wouldn't be a lot of changes we'd have to do?
Oh, no, like,
Okay.
they're promoting, school districts to develop a policy.
Okay.
So, one of the benefits as we run this through the first draft tonight is we hit the deadline to receive $5,000 for adding a cell phone, or updating our cell phone policy
Oh, they're giving that as a bonus.
as a incentive for
Stipend.
school districts.
It's available for different types of programs or things, or
How we can use it. We'd use it on safety and security,
safety and security.
digital citizenship, mental and behavioral well-being.
Cyberbullying.
Yep, exactly.
So when it says
So
this
this-
third violation is the student cannot have the device during the school day, how long does that hold? If they're in third violation, what does that mean? Is that just for that day? Is that for every
Check
day
in
from
and
that
check
point
out.
forward?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that definitely needs to be addressed in this policy. You know what I mean?
Oh, third violation,
Mhm.
like they don't get a
Well,
phone,
when I read all the consequences for, you know,
no more phones.
how this goes through, it just
check
says,
in and
oh,
check out.
third violation, the student cannot have the device during the school day. For the rest of the year? The rest of the semester?
Sounds like it. Sounds
I
like
mean,
the rest of the
it's
I
year.
think that this,
individual basis.
I believe in harsh punishments for the factor of not having repeat offenders.
Mhm.
It's my
Correct.
personal opinion.
Correct.
I encourage I like to encourage responsibility, but then if one breaks those, obviously, then they understand there's punishments to it. But, I mean, I think we need to address that in here. What do you guys think?
Have a time frame.
Yeah, at least a limited time frame. So should we put for the rest of the year, or what do you think, Josh? Jody?
Well, there's already a fourth. I mean, if they go to the fourth, there's a suspension day, right? So, I mean, you take it away from for a semester or something. It's like, all right, here's your opportunity, you blow it again, bounce the rest of the year.
Right.
I don't know.
But they're already not supposed to have the thing.
Yeah, especially since suspension comes after violation 3?
Not suspension, we'll let the principals speak to it, because particularly the secondary principals at the next board meeting and Peen's right, or Principal Asbury's right here to speak to it. The third violation means at that point, they're not supposed to have it during the school day, so it's a check in and check out.
Okay.
Now, you've also heard Principal Carson mention, using it as like the kid having the opportunity to earn that right back. You know, so having some motivation to like, can I earn this privilege back? And I can let principals, in terms of time frame, like, do we wanna lock into a time frame? Do we wanna
You have
leave it
people
open
that still
to the
haven't got their
principal?
phones back, so.
Yeah, do we wanna leave it open to a principal and
Yeah,
like
we
individual
haven't hit a
family?
semester yet, so we really haven't experienced the timeframe, that's why I keep it kind of open-ended. I operate under the assumption that's for the year.
Yeah,
You
I
have
think so
three
too.
times to earn it back and
Okay,
That's a severity, that's a
Yeah, maybe
final,
we
it's a,
need to
hey,
put that
you don't
date.
get to bring your phone for the rest of
that time frame in there.
That's it.
Can we put that in there?
Yeah,
Awesome.
writing policy, draft one.
Sweet.
Alright,
Any questions, guys?
can bring updates.
Any
to
concerns?
the-
All right. Going on to, what was first read? This is 59E, okay, 5900E, concealed carry on school property application. Board policy number 5900E, section 1, concealed carry firearms on school property application. Would that fall under 5900 then?
I'm writing it. What are we looking at? For the second read? We got several versions.
You have application as the first read.
Wait, we're just
Oh.
on the app.
Oh,
We're on the
sorry,
application.
sorry,
I can't
sorry.
find it right now, that's what I was asking.
Where do we,
Yeah,
It's
which
in- It's
one?
under,
Oh, I'm here on the main.
if you go to board manual part 2 again, where
saw
cell
it.
phone was,
Right.
and type in,
Does it have red lines and
nah,
Stuff crossed out though.
It's 5900
It's
E, it's
E,
the
it's
application.
it's an exhibit.
Yeah, I just see 5900.
I don't see the E.
It's in part 2.
I don't, it's.
Board manual
Board
part 2.
manual part 2, click.
Yep, here I
Not
am.
for me.
In there.
Oh.
So you'll see, exhibit.
Okay.
You there?
Nope.
Getting
No.
there? Okay.
Do I need to log back in to see that?
I went to, you probably need to be logged in.
So
Or
I'm
in
in,
part
I'm
2.
logged
I'm in
in.
policies.
I went to board.
I went to
policy
board manual
manual.
2, so here I'm in
Part
board
two.
manual 2.
Okay, then reset your filter.
Okay, this is where you guys know this trick.
5,000.
5,000, okay.
Now. Type in,
Yeah,
type in,
I just
Right here?
see
Code.
under code.
concealed
Five
carry
dot 59.
firearm, I don't see the E.
I don't see it.
E.
Should I heard final
Told
version?
you.
There's one in
Take the E
docs.
out. Take
Okay.
the E out.
Where?
In
In
an
Simply.
email we got.
Yeah, there's
Yeah,
that
I saw it
one
in the
that
email. I just wanted to
you
remember how to do
were
this.
working on.
No, I
Nice.
don't see it. For him.
Okay, I'm gonna go into
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, we want to try that. Probably not good.
How come I can see it?
It's
I'm logged in.
easier whenever I go
Go
to.
to 5,000.
Yeah.
And where's your, reset your filter.
Try again.
Just wanna see again.
5,000's
No,
right there,
5,000.
boom.
Again.
You know?
Scroll
Just
down.
this one.
That's it.
It's not in mine.
5,900.
Teresa, you can see it?
I can see it.
You're logged in.
Maybe give people a different view.
There's one in docs from an email that we got a while
Yeah,
back.
I can pull that up.
She
That's fine.
sent it, did you send that one Friday?
I don't know if it would be in here.
There was the one that you were
I
working
did.
on, Paul.
I can look on the screen.
Is
Yeah,
that
I'll bring mine
is
up
that
in
the
docs.
right
You wanna
one?
see mine too, bud?
That's the policy.
Alright, I'll share
Yeah,
mine.
that's
You
the
can
policy,
see it.
but that's not the application.
Here.
I have a hard copy.
Oh, Teresa.
I do too.
Yep.
Can you make a copy?
Here it
And
is.
then it's on the
Okay.
screen.
I don't
We're
understand why
in.
you can see it and I can't.
I brought up my email. I'm hardcore like that.
Well, that's what I'm trying to do.
No.
No, they can't see it. So some of you have a hard copy, and then I also have it on the.
No, I've got a copy here too, if anybody wants to see it. I'll just hand them this one.
Which one from email? Are you pulling up the one that?
From her
Friday
last,
email.
From
her
from
board letter.
Friday?
I don't know if I put the
900
application
E.
in there.
it was in your
Did I
email to
put
us,
the?
yeah.
I
Yeah, that's
didn't
why I
know if I
brought
put the
it up.
application in
That
there.
one, I think.
It is in
Alright.
That's not what they have. Hold
Friday
on.
board letter.
Yeah, but what, how come we can't get it in Simply?
Yeah, I don't know.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
So really, you've seen the application, you've seen most of this content
Yeah.
in the policy. What we did was just separate it out because it was becoming, the policy was becoming so long.
Okay, I know where's mine.
Oh, like
How'd
as
you
suggested, you pulled
Just went
that,
back
all
to
that
the-
language out of the policy.
And just,
and
and
put
have an
it
exhibit, like when you look at other
Right.
policies that have forms, so you got the policy and then you'll have
Correct.
the E1 or the F1,
Okay.
like a separate form. So just to cut back on how long the carry concealed weapon policy was becoming, we just separate out the actual application and put it into this exhibit. You've seen most of this content.
Yep.
If not all of it.
Oh, you
Thank you.
Okay.
And then, we heard a little bit from Mark Feddersen, so this could be the opportunity to hold that discussion on anything we would wanna add to the application, the screening process, the training.
I felt like you really hit on something that would have been more directed towards hiring somebody. I felt like the training that he's requiring, we're stepping away from the main objective, in my personal opinion. I feel like there's more training, there's more of
was
this, there's
emphasizing-
The
more.
problem is, we don't have anybody to hire.
That-
We got
that
one
is the
person
problem.
that came out as a SRO,
Yep.
and that's who we're getting. So we don't have the ability to get 2 more SROs. the sheriff's department can hardly staff themselves, right?
Yeah, that is very
The
true.
city police has one now, or are they back up to two?
Got two.
So,
No,
yeah,
that's-
our odds of getting another SRO are about zero.
That's the reality of things. It's like, sure,
I
you want
totally
it, you
understand.
can't have
I liked
it.
what he said about the factory, and this is what I thought was super important. I think
We
I
talked
talked
about
about
the
this
training.
with Teresa.
With staff. Go ahead.
Well, the factor that we hit less than lethals needs to be addressed, I think, in a separate policy. That way, people that choose to not want to carry a firearm, right, can choose to have something if they choose to, right? But the restrictions need to be the same. It's still a weapon. I don't know how many times I've talked to individuals in the school that said, "Oh, I got a baseball bat." And I'm like, "That's a deadly weapon too. It's no different than a handgun. I got something I can grab. That's a deadly weapon too." We really do need to create a policy in defense, and if that be the matter of whether that be a less than lethal option, right? Options need to be literally less than lethals, and identify what those are in our policies. That's the biggest thing I learned, the difference between what they consider a lethal option and less than lethals. Those have to be identified. Throwing those two policies together is going to convolute it, and it's going to create way too much confusion, and it'll really clog the legal aspects of the two: deadly force, less than lethal.
Oh, it definitely needs to be a separate policy. I just don't know if I agree with the whole that you have to apply to be able to have other forms of less than lethal when you don't have to have a license to carry any of them in any state.
Is a less than lethal a weapon?
It is a weapon, it is not a firearm.
But are we allowed to carry weapons on school grounds right now?
That's what the question is. I've never really gotten a clear answer on that. I mean,
less
a
than-
pepper spray thing on somebody's keychain, and people carry those all the time. I have no idea how many people have them as staff right now and don't think a second thing about it. You go for a walk in the morning, people have pepper spray on their keychains because of dogs.
So I'm not in disagreement in any way.
just don't, it's not clear to me, it hasn't been clarified, and that's a separate topic than this that we'll talk about differently, but I do agree that it needs to be a completely different policy.
I think why I'm bringing it up is because when it comes to the application process and the
Yeah.
convoluting of adding less than lethals and the actual concealed carry process, right, and there being an application thereof, I think that we should separate the two.
Correct,
That's what I'm
I
trying to
do
say.
too.
With
And there's
what
an
he
ex-
was saying, addressing what he was saying.
Yeah, I
in
think
that-
they
in
need
that
to be
conversation.
completely
And there's a
separate.
sample non-lethal or less than lethal device policy for you to look at. What that was in the Friday board letter.
Right.
Yeah,
So there's
they're
an example.
totally separate.
to-
It
Well, I
can
think
be
when he was
referred
addressing-
to in the one, both policies can refer to the others, but I don't think they need to have language
Right, so it's
together.
separated out.
Right.
Then, in terms of the application process and the training for defensibility and mitigation of liability, he mentioned adding some pieces to the application about the background checks, the discipline records, experience, the reason or motivation of why, physical fitness. And then he also talked about anywhere from 16 to 40 hours of training. And he mentioned some of those categories.
I think we talked about this even before, like when we were discussing this with patrons and whatnot, and the reality is what's affordable, what's realistic, and how many people are actually going to do this. And why I brought this again was to readdress what the ECCW pre-quals were and what's done in the backgrounding specifically of that, right? We do know that there's going to be a psychological, there's going to be a legal, and it's going to go from state, right, to federal. And we know that that's addressed. So are we hiring teachers to be cops? Or are we allowing people to have their Second Amendment right to defend themselves in accordance with their rights by creating a basis guideline that people are of cognitive mind and will choose to be safe in a responsible manner with consequences if not, or choose not to carry, right? Are we allowing that blanket policy, or are we trying to militia our teachers? I don't think we are. I personally didn't have that intention when I first started with this. I was really, my directive is, what's our right? And with that, why is that important? And what are the dangers we have clear and present that we have seen over and over and over again to the most innocent part of our country, our kids, right? How do we protect them? And that's what the whole idea was starting this, and I know that there's so much add to it, and it's a touchy subject, but this is kind of where I keep going back to. What are we doing? What are we trying to do? And that's where I would want to address how much more training do we want? Do we want to send them through post? Do we want to require them to go to post? Do they know the cost of that? Right? It's post training. We're not doing that. And that's not my personal, that's not what I thought we were doing with this policy. But I mean, please.
I think one of the takeaways from that discussion, and I took it as a recommendation or not a recommendation, but as a suggestion, is that within the application process or our training requirements, to utilize those resources that are available similar to or that are available through post, some of the different
Training
categories.
programs. Yeah. Shoot, no shoot. Yeah,
So
yeah.
those,
Right.
I think that
The
those
conflict
type of,
resolution.
right, those type of resources,
handling.
we could identify those for somebody that is an applicant that wants to do this, to utilize the policy, and providing those as resources with, okay, if you're going to watch this online video, if you're going to do a day in the field training, then maybe part of that requirement is, hey, document it so that we have that on record that you actually did fulfill not only the 8 hours, the minimum that we're talking about, but they went above and beyond.
What I really liked about all these suggestions is it offered not just the ECCW for the annual training.
Mhm.
Jody was one that mentioned that, why don't we do other training? Why can't that be offered? And I think it's
That's in there.
super important that annual's not just the same class from a buddy of yours that you know, that they're going over and above, right?
Well, and I think with, the onus being on us to provide them with a library and the opportunity to go above and beyond what's stated in the event that something bad did happen and they were involved in an incident. Going back to, okay, by policy, right, regardless of whether you respond to an incident or you don't, the school district's gonna get sued for it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then that individual in the district demonstrates, well, here's what we say in policy is the minimum, but this individual that responded to this incident actually did the minimum, but then also did X, Y, and Z for a total of X number of hours.
Yeah, I like that. Just like as an add-on to put on their application is like, hey, this is something extra they can do. The slippery slope I would think of is like not mentioning specific training programs, but blanket them, so like post-offered online programs or something of that manner. Because that's the slippery slope of us also making money for a separate entity.
I can give you an
agrees.
example
Yeah.
that came through recently, because we're hiring our new SRO. And so they go through post. However, they also go through, I think some people asked about the school resource officer. Was there special training? And there is, and I should have brought the flyer in. But it's nearby. It's a 5-day training. It's $500, pretty reasonable. And then each day hit some of those categories that Mark Pedersen just talked about.
I heard him emphasize front-end training,
Yeah.
Yeah.
initial training.
He encouraged
The bulk of that 16 to 40 hours was the upfront.
Yeah,
You
and then the upfront.
know. And I think, it's required in the educational setting and many other professions, the ongoing,
Yep.
Professional training.
professional training.
As a teacher, yeah.
I don't think that this is any dissimilar. In fact, it's probably more onus on continual training.
I think it's something we should definitely have as an encouragement. It's something we should document when they do.
Just a common thing that just individuals that I know that carry. It's a personal, for lack of a better term, hobby and interest of theirs. And they keep learning constantly through it and improving. So, I mean, anyone who is going to be applying for this, I would kind of think they're in that same category of person who is interested in that topic. So the argument that,
teachers are teachers, they can't do this. Are you kidding me?
Right.
Of course they can.
Right.
Anybody can learn things outside of their career, and they do. And that's a common thread that I've seen in people who do carry.
I think Josh said it really well when he said that probably the people that are going to most likely be applying for this are people that have already been carrying for 20 years.
Exactly.
Because of the severity of the hoops that are already required for them to jump through, the factor of the scrutiny of the position.
They're already going through, they've already gone through the mental the
Correct.
mental gymnastics that's required to be able to have that mindset.
But
It
I
is
think
a
that
different
encouraging
mindset.
further training should definitely be, I like that idea.
I think we just provide a library of, here's resources.
Maybe put that on the
Here,
application.
here's the minimum, but here's also what we.
That's something we can word and put on the application, like we also would encourage these other things.
I don't know if you put it on the application. I'm not saying no.
I think an
Just something to do
application
the
would be
interview
the
process.
minimum. The application part, it's like for any job. The minimum requirement for this position is the
Saying that we have it up
ECCW
here.
and this, you know, the standard of training, right? And so they meet that and they pass the background check and all the levels of, that's required. That's the minimum. The ongoing is where we would provide the resource, the library, for them to go to and go, hey, I wanna take 2 hours, or I wanna go to an infield 8-hour thing. Here's the opportunity, so that it's easy for that individual to make that choice, cause this is all about choice. I'm choosing to do this, I'm choosing to jump through the appropriate hoops. Ongoing, I'm choosing to do this, and the district is providing a list of resources for me to click on, sign up, and do.
And in
You know.
partnership with, Dental County and Sheriff's
Yeah.
Department.
Yeah.
And Sheriff Eels has a lot of
See what programs he says.
opportunities.
Okay.
So we're at looking back at the application process, you've got the training, additional training, submitting each year. What needs to be included in the application? The letter of interest, that's where the why would probably come from, that Mark Pedersen talked about, right? You'd look for that in your letter of interest. Resume is gonna give some of that experience.
Is what we already
All the
said.
abbreviations need cleaned up so they're all
Yeah.
the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Instead of it having
Sometimes-
ECCW and then a
right.
CCW, then a
Right.
ECCW.
But the application-
ECCLW.
I'm gonna tell you.
But
I'll
the
read it out of the
application-
penal code.
CW.
But is the application an ECCW or is it training ECCW?
So even though your driver's or your actual
Or the
license says enhanced concealed
CL.
weapon,
Yeah.
the actual penal code says enhanced concealed carry weapon.
It needs to.
It's ECCW
okay.
according
Policy
to the
Take
needs
out
to
that L.
reflect the legal
Right.
terminology and acronyms.
enhanced
So no
license to
license.
carry concealed weapon, ECCW.
Yep. So not the ECL or WL. Okay. And then the district, it's right there, ECCW. You got it.
Yep.
ECCW.
ECCW.
Then the district rights was already in the policy, so it's just now added to the application. And I don't think there was much legal input on this part. It was more on the actual policy.
Right.
There wasn't much additional ideas
Well,
or
you got insight,
suggestions from
though.
legal.
No, and generally speaking, that's pretty common. An application
Pretty straightforward.
is
after the
pretty
policy.
straightforward. They're just, you know, if legal was to look at it, they're gonna make sure that it's not discriminatory. You know, for the most, I mean,
Yeah.
there's a few other
Mo-
things.
most
But
of
the
their suggestions,
policy,
yeah, was in
the
policy.
policy is really going to be about what laws are being referenced,
Right.
statutorial.
Defensibility, yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
Alignment with other policy and statute. Anything else on the application?
All right, we're gonna move on to the actual CCW policy 5900. Second reading. you guys think about what legal did?
I tried to overlap legal's suggestions or comments inside of our current draft.
Okay, so which one are we actually looking at? So we're all looking
Assembly
at the
has,
same one.
so if we look in Assembly,
Okay.
that, I would look in Assembly because we have our current draft, and then on the side in the comments or in red is an overlap of legal's suggestions
Right. If you're just looking at a policy, it shows it.
in Assembly.
So it looks like this? Am I correct? That one?
No.
No?
This isn't it?
Maybe.
So she and
Yes,
I, I
that
think-
one, yes.
What?
Can you see comments and the red
So it's just red.
and
Mhm. But, so then, oh, this is what I don't like about this and then track changes. How do I get the comments to come up?
if you open it, you should see comments. You have to open it big. See it over here. Are you logged?
Oh, by
So if I
logging
shrink
in.
it, I can't see, well, maybe I can.
How do I find the
You're not.
comment? I just see red lettering
Yep.
within, internally in
Yeah,
the policy.
Why I can't see comments?
But the comment
You have to look at
section
them
off
on.
to the right isn't there.
No. You're supposed to be able to see comments. They can't.
There
see
we
it.
go. Well,
Alright,
You guys are supposed to be able to see them as well, but you can see them this way.
did you get them, Josh?
no. I think.
First thing I wanna
think
address is
we're
striking out
somewhere
the
we're
non-lethal.
missing a step.
Yeah, we took that, I'll take that out.
Something's not coming to us.
Yeah, something not coming to you that should be, so we'll have to check the permissions. So yeah, one is anywhere it has the non-lethal part, we'll take that out because we created a separate policy. So we can, well, we can create a separate policy and share that next time as a first draft.
For the non-lethal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So then the first paragraph in red, that's some of the legal suggestions. They don't have edit button. Yep. Oh yeah, you could change it right now.
All big deep, help me.
That's my one hiccup with, like
I
track
know.
changes.
Oh yeah. Oh, it's hard. Data set for something.
Okay, so legal is recommending
In the first
different
paragraph, the
last
red.
sentence is
Mhm.
suggested by legal, so we'll instead read the school board superintendent.
Expression for the training.
Okay.
And then, legal had struck out the second paragraph and the third paragraph, and they rewrote this fourth paragraph a little bit.
Oh, so they condensed those two into the one.
Yep.
Yeah.
They-
Okay.
Like, their point was less wording will
Yep.
make it more concise and understandable.
Yep. Okay.
Then you have the sign, so legal suggested the removal for the
Oh,
reason, and Mark Pedersen suggested legal.
I'm throwing up on this one, guys.
So legal suggesting remove it, but
Mark
as a
recommended.
consultant.
Mm-hmm.
So
I see the
I think
reasons.
there's an.
And it gives a reason on the side, they do.
What did legal say when they suggested we remove it?
Possibly.
Didn't they say that
it-
could state it in a different place?
No, they just said it's already in statute and with the language, it's adding, it's restricting us if we wanted to change the sign or the verbiage.
I think there's a psychological effect, which Mark was trying to address, into having it visual for people to see on a daily basis that attend that school. That's kind of that's why I'm thrown up about it. Like all right, legal wants to take it out, okay, understood. Well, I like the factor of saying we do reserve the right to protect our students at any time for any cost.
Yeah,
So
There's a psychological effect to that, guys.
So I had a-
like, it's prevention.
I don't remember the exact language, but I think we had talked about a very harsh warning, like
Yeah, I left it
warning,
in here.
staff is
Be
aware.
armed and.
Right.
To me, that comes across as being like somewhat antagonistic and be like, I dare you, try it here. It makes more sense where it's something along the lines of SD41 staff may be armed.
Just like we had a previous.
And it doesn't need to be big, bold, it doesn't need to be
No.
anything like that, just side of an entryway,
Yeah.
heads up.
Yeah.
It's just like the notice of the sex offender,
Yeah.
there's a sign,
Right.
right? This is a tobacco-free zone. Well, we removed the gun-free zone, and it's just something simple that says.
How big was the sign that said no guns allowed?
Or
You
we need
can't
one
miss
that
'em.
says no
You can't
unauthorized
miss 'em.
personnel
That-
with firearms
That
is
was
what
the
he
part,
brought
I
up,
mean,
so.
yeah, cause he emphasized that as being, that they're authorized staff.
Right,
may
he
be
said,
carrying- that
no unauthorized weapons
no
allowed, authorized weapons,
unauthorized
authorized staff
weapons
allowed to
are
carry.
allowed. Staff may be armed and authorized to use force, however we put. But the combination of those two does make it clear and does cover and makes it clear, so nobody can say, well, what do you mean?
Yes.
Staff's carrying.
Yeah, staff
I
is
carry."
authorized, you are probably not, is what it should say.
Or in accordance.
Yep, yeah, you're probably not, so.
In accordance with
Don't.
3302, St. Mary's authorized staff
But
may be
making a
armed.
point of unauthorized,
What
no
was our
unauthorized
previous-
guns are allowed.
It's right here, but then it says in accordance with 183302, St. Mary's
So
authorized staff
somebody
may be
that
armed.
hasn't BCC
Did you guys hear that?
is not staff allowed to carry a gun.
No, because we authorize.
So I think that's where something like that. we
Board
would have to be-
authorized.
I think it would have to say
No,
SD41 staff.
So
St.
reread
Mary's
what
authorized.
was on there.
In accordance with statute 183302, St. Mary's authorized staff may be armed.
That was a very simple way that we actually wrote up last time when we were sitting here going, how do we state this in a simple way? I don't see why if we're gonna choose to do it, we don't just keep it. That's what we originally chose to do. That's what we originally wrote up. We're going back and forth. If we don't want it, we should just pull it. But if not, keep the same wording we already wrote
This is new
before.
wording.
Huh?
This is new wording,
Oh, is that
sorry.
new wording?
It's
Well,
it's
no,
a little more
that's very
concise than what we
different
had.
from what it was,
It's less,
what the
less,
legal
I like the way that
suggested
sounds
we
is what I'm trying to say.
scratch.
less
Why don't we just keep it?
antagonistic, concise.
Yeah, the first one was a little
Long.
So the
long
question
and
is, do we want a
antagonistic.
sign?
It was interesting to hear the history of
Mhm.
how we got those no gun signs in the first place. That
Yeah.
was interesting to learn. That it was because of after school
Well, I think you just take away the gun-free zones.
loitering.
Yeah, I've never heard that
And-
before.
But that's
Federal government
said
did it in
where
95.
where that started. It's interesting to see the history of why did that rule get put there. in the first place.
So that's Jody's, we just need to make a decision. Are we gonna go with the sign or are we not? Jody says he thinks that taking away the signs is plenty, and that lets him wonder. So, what do you
We're
guys
gonna
think?
have something up that says no unauthorized people
So-
can bring guns.
Yeah, and this is a terrible comparison, but we mark, even though a sex offender knows that they should not be in that facility, it's very clearly marked. And I think in an instance like this where if you are not authorized to carry, you are not authorized to carry a firearm
Okay,
on a
and that
school
should be stated then,
campus.
is what you're saying. Okay.
Only board authorized
St. Mary's
staff
authorized staff.
Yeah, I think it-
may.
In accordance with 183302. Like
That's what
patrons
it's saying
can't.
right there. It's
May
very
be
simple.
on.
That's very
Patrons
simple sign.
can't.
Less wording, very cheap.
Students
You can make it
can't.
as big as you want.
Right.
Are we saying we want to sign then?
Yes.
Okay.
I think,
So I left it in there right now. In accordance with 183302, St. Mary's authorized staff may be armed.
Beth, how do you feel about it?
Yeah, and I've heard community members also wanting clarity in
Okay.
that.
Okay.
Well, here, so hypothetically, I've been, well, not hypothetically, but I've been sitting in the gym at a game
Mm-hmm.
and looked over, and there's a guy sitting there with a pistol on his hip, so.
Well, I think that should be enforced no different.
It
I
needs
see
to be
people at the
enforced,
grocery store that have guns too, and I don't worry about it.
But that's not.
Well,
part
I'm
of
not,
the
I'm not worried
school
about it either,
policy.
but I mean, you talk about, you know, different things going on there, but,
That's not legal.
Yeah, I can't stop them from doing that.
Because down farther down in the policy, not only does it say, well, the sign talks about authorized staff only, then it defines authorized staff and when. So I think that'll be important to read. Because it's not all day, anytime, on and off campus, there's certain defined,
So we're keeping that.
the sign,
So that's what you're saying.
we're keeping the sign.
Read it one more time.
Just the sign, the part in red.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we're getting
In-
rid of the attention.
In accordance.
We are, attention, be aware, getting rid of that part.
mhm.
Yeah.
Right.
So in accordance with statute, it would say, I see, 183302, St. Mary's authorized staff may be armed.
Yeah.
Very simple to the point.
Those would be the signs that are made.
Okay.
I'm just gonna leave that for now.
I got a question.
be.
What's up with the
Depends how much
joint
room
school
we have.
district? What's the meaning
Oh,
behind
yeah, St.
that?
Mary's Joint School District.
Yeah.
It's because of,
Okay.
yeah.
Oh, the
Burnwood.
joint?
Are you messing around?
No,
I wanted
I-
to, the
Oh,
joint,
well,
yeah.
maybe.
I was like, we got.
Oh, so we're
Well, I'm
joint.
just always wondering about joint, and I'm like,
Sean.
I did too, actually, I'm glad you
Sean
asked.
Because
County.
of Caldwell and
So
Avery.
this policy would apply to,
No,
For high
Calder?
school.
no.
Okay.
No,
So then we
No,
couldn't
it would
say that
not.
it's joint.
No, it is.
It would not.
part of our school
That's our name.
That's our name of our
Okay.
district. Because in high school, we provide
I was just thinking that
education for those students
in
who
our
do not
policy
have.
applies to them as well.
Yes, but not the Calder school or anything that might happen at the Avery school.
So.
Those are not part of our district.
So that's where.
But we take their high school
We
kids.
take their high school kids because they don't have high
Right,
school facilities.
but that's where I'm going.
So
This
moving
is
on,
a
because we gotta keep moving, guys.
district-wide.
It's our district.
It's right there.
That's
St.
our
Mary's
district.
Joint School
Oh,
District.
I'm
They
with you,
become
I'm
part of
with
our
you, I'm
district
with
when they hit high school.
I think Calder has a different district.
They are.
Don't kill me. And,
They're the Calder Avery School District.
Okay,
All right, let's move on.
school personnel, legal struck it out. And I think farther down, it defines staff employed and when they would be authorized to carry.
Okay.
This next part, the rest of the definitions were left alone. However, it did have a staff member ask today, with ammunition, and this is coaching and track, and they use blanks. So does ammunition include blanks? It's not a projectile.
No.
I think it says it includes
Cartridge-
blanks
a
if you
car-
look in your law book.
It does,
Blanks are included with ammunition.
Maybe in law.
It does
I
say
can give the
18.
definition of a cartridge.
But
It's not a
But
blank.
it's not
Anyway, it has to use a
But we
projectile.
probably don't need to address a starting line gun in
Well,
this.
well, we have ammunition includes blanks right now. So
Well, we could make it, we
Get
could
rid of
exclude it.
blanks.
Get
That's
rid
what
of
I'm-
blanks.
that's-
Get rid of
in
blanks.
that's what I'm asking.
Yeah, get rid of
Excluding
blanks.
starting gun
That's what I'm asking.
blanks. For sports
I mean, it does
purposes.
reference Idaho code, but it's also not a projectile,
It's not.
correct?
Mhm.
So it can't do any harm.
According to Alan.
Case
Well,
primer
clearly
and
wasn't a
projectile
blank.
cartridge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not his fault.
Too soon?
Too soon. So can I strike it?
Yeah, I would strike blanks, yes.
And not ECWL should be.
We're gonna change all those later.
CCW, yep.
Yep, there's so many of those to change, cause it was licensed, and then now we're changing it back. Under deadly force, based on from some of the information meetings and having specific language so that it's a defensible policy for the board and any staff member who does carry, I just added the definition again of deadly force as it's outlined in Idaho Code 19201.
Okay.
Is it necessary to state it twice?
I was adding specific language to add to the defensibility, so. It's open for discussion, but that's why I put it back in there.
So, did we strike it?
What?
Did we just strike it?
No, nobody struck it, I just added some specificity and for clarity to reinforce, the defensibility of this policy, because typically staff can't use force. Like we're not supposed to have any physical interaction unless, right, it's a very clear situation with Idaho code of when, with special training, we can use force. If somebody's gonna cause harm to themselves or somebody else, and we're protected under Idaho code.
Anybody that's protecting another person under Idaho code is allowed to protect them, no matter what they choose to or not, doesn't matter who they are, staff or not. They're protected, you know what I mean, like if let's say for example, someone wanted to, wanted to be suicidal while someone was trying to kill them. If I protected that person, I would not be charged with a crime for protecting them in any way.
Yeah. Now, education gets tricky, because when we break up a fight, we're supposed to not use unless we're interrupting so that the kid's not causing harm to themselves or others, right? So and that's clearly defined in Idaho Code 13JAN2025 to explain, like, yep, there might be that moment of physical interaction because we're breaking up a fight to prevent harm to that student or others. So we want to be careful there. And then if you're going to see farther down with physical force, when we're going to use seclusion or restraint. And again, we have a policy on when a staff member can use seclusion or restraint, and it also comes with annual training.
Isn't this almost
How does
like
that-
talking about less than lethal, though?
Yeah,
If we talk about
that's-
escalation of
So
force.
this is during
Well,
the
it was
imminent
in
danger or
CCW.
Correct.
severe bodily harm,
Correct.
which means imminent death
Correct.
or severe tissue damage.
Right, and that's when, however, when we look at the policy, physical force is mentioned in here. And so is when use of force, and then it also defines, deadly force. So in this policy, all three are mentioned.
Do we need it all?
Good point.
Since we're talking about
kind of what I was
CCW,
wondering, yeah.
we could probably strike
Well,
escalation of force, use of force.
That's what Mark recommended. Escalation of force was something he recommended to strike out because it convolutes the idea of just this policy. There are
Right.
other policies we have that talk about escalation of force and de-escalation.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
So
what you're
those
saying is,
should
we're complicating it.
possibly be included in a non-lethal policy.
De-escalation, non-lethal, when you use non-lethal, you can use de-escalation of force in a non-lethal of that manner, but you still only can use a weapon, no matter what, when there's an imminent danger. Period.
Which is the deadly force.
And that's the biggest argument is like, how do we put de-escalation involved? I think there's a difference between breaking up two kids that are getting into an argument and stopping someone that's trying to brutally murder another person. And I think that's where we're kind of bringing those together, and we need to separate the two in policy, my personal opinion.
Correct.
So it's written in here now, and Bruno Grand Views had that written in here. Use of force, levels of force, physical force.
So the
And what
point
is
that's being
legal?
made is is emphasizing, because this is a CCW policy, emphasizing just when it should be used.
That's
I
what
think
we're
the
talking about,
simplicity of it is
CCW.
better.
Right, okay.
Sometimes less is more in that manner. Like,
No,
what is
I agree.
specific? When are you allowed to use any firearm? It's only when there's an imminent danger.
Right.
Only in this manner, right?
Which is
Adding
defined
more to,
in
yeah, we can.
Okay, so
we
we
can
now
add-
we're
I mean,
striking
that's-
out quite a bit.
Yeah, well, I'm asking.
Yeah,
No,
me
it
too.
clarifies the policy, it cleans
Yeah.
up the policy. It doesn't,
We'll
I
look at it again.
understand the point of not muddying the waters.
That's what
belongs
Mark
in-
was saying.
It belongs in another area.
That's what Mark was saying. What do
Yeah.
you feel like, Josh?
So I agree, and at the same time, I see the, within the policy, it's laying out, like, in the educational setting, I think that there's, just like those instances where a teacher is faced with breaking up a fight versus not, and what this is doing is, in this little
Explaining it.
section right here, is kind of
You think it's separating?
defining, it's like, this is when it happens, you know, the levels of force, it's defining, like, you don't go here until it is absolutely the last.
And
I
that
think
can
that's
be
always
defined.
important that it's implemented what an imminent danger is. That's why when we originally wrote the policy, that was
Yeah.
put in there.
And so.
What is an imminent danger? And what is that, what are the what they call deadly force triggers?
And I think though, on the flip side, each one of these is their own separate, you know, teachers have that very specific code that Dr. Wrench mentioned, right? And how they handle seclusion versus, and the
Restraint.
hands-on
De-escalate.
limits that they use, right? That's one policy. Less than lethal. That's,
another
there's
another
a
policy.
severe incident going on, but it is not a shootable type of thing, right? And then that third layer, that third policy, that last resort is, okay, it has come to this, and here are the guidelines on when you actually use deadly force. So it does make sense that as long as those other two first column, first layers, first levels
There's some-
are defined,
This is clearly
this is
defined
it.
too. Okay.
So under the actual heading of deadly force, it's very short because it refers to Idaho Code 19201 through 19203.
The definition of deadly force is imminent danger, right? That's the definition we're using.
Would we want to just leave it that way, or do we want to include any more language describing, not defining, it defines
We
itself?
previously did have all that in there.
Yeah.
And then we shortened it already
Mhm.
and made it suggest 19201 to 203. And that's why we ended up with this, is because we can go, I mean, that's
Or
a
you
law.
could, I know, you could go on.
So I like the way this was because we originally already did that. We all
And
sat in a
then,
meeting and said,
then we know that
"Let's
it's
go back to
already
this."
stated there. You read it, that is a complete definition of imminent danger.
And when we were bringing those policies and making it our own, that's how that was written up. We went, let's just reference, it's obvious what imminent danger is. It's spoken.
I think
in code.
the more that I think about it, I like having the separation of the policies.
Talking
And-
about less lethal than this one.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. I talked about that with Dr. Rich yesterday. I was like, I think that's very important.
We were too.
So,
And so this could be shorter and
Mhm.
also very direct,
to the point.
very concise.
So use of force, am I striking that out? And when force may be used, am I striking that out?
What I would say is, well, could. I think
Or
it's
put it
more
in
of like
there.
the use of deadly force,
Yeah, that's
when deadly force may be used.
And that's
And
here.
maybe those could be combined into one,
Or
which is already kind of, which is
Right,
already
yeah.
defined.
below it, yeah, that's what I was
Means
saying.
the
Already
intentional application of force through the use of firearms or other means reasonably likely to cause death or serious physical injury.
Where are
It's an
you
imminent
reading
danger
that?
defined. That's
De-
literally
un-
defined.
under
It's-
deadly
it
force.
That's what you were
literally-
wondering, how to
right.
define an imminent
Under
danger?
deadly
It's
force.
defined right there.
It's
Yeah.
right there.
That's how that's defined.
So, yes, I think you could strike those other two paragraphs.
Okay.
So which paragraph did you just read from?
Deadly force.
Just deadly
Just-
force. It's like one line right there. No.
No. No, not that. You read, where'd you read, Josh?
It was,
1921 or 201.
it's just a
Right
two
higher.
line.
Where?
Yeah. Scroll up or down.
So it's
In
possible this would
definitions, it's like the
go
fourth one down.
in Less than length.
Fifth one down from definition of terms.
Deadly force, deadly force is repeated.
Right, yeah, so we're
Twice.
gonna need to get rid of some of this stuff.
Yeah.
So the
that's-
headlines of deadly force need to be combined. Means of intentional force, use of firearms, like injury or death.
Yes.
When legal looked at this, did they recommend
Those need to be
changing this
combined.
Or
Means
combining
of
There's
intentional application, da-da-da,
two
and then
headers
use of deadly
of
force
deadly
must be
force.
justified
Right.
as
Yeah,
outlined
it's
in.
They
too
need
much.
to be, yeah.
Well,
that
it's
was-
because we
that
had
was
2 or
there.
3 different policies that we put together, and that's how we got so many things.
I think that even if it's mentioned twice, we can clean that up later. I think the idea is that, do we have it there?
We have
Is it
deadly
written
force.
there? We're gonna review this policy again and again and again, and if we see something that's written twice, we can clean it up later.
Yeah.
But I feel like the more that we continue to flip-flop this over
It-
and over and over again, we're really beating it dead.
So, and
Looking
that's, you know, you get 5 different lawyers to look at
Right.
something like, you're gonna get 5 different opinions, 5
That's
different
right.
consultants, 5 different suggestions.
We just had an attorney look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
What
Mark
we're
Patterson
boiling down to
is
is that we
defining deadly
want
force.
this to refer to
and imminent
this
danger.
specifically.
Yep.
And other areas will be dealt in other policies, so we're boiling it down to those concerning deadly force.
Yes.
Because this is a crisis situation, this is not happening every day, and I pray every day it never, ever, ever has to be reviewed
Yes.
ever again. It is
No, I
a
agree.
crisis situation and is dealing with that crisis moment.
No, I agree. I'm saying,
But that's what
We're
we're
trying-
boiling it down to,
which I feel like we have.
yeah. In
Okay,
You're already
levels of force, are we getting rid of that?
I struck it out for
Yeah.
now, yes.
The next
So
one
Oh,
down.
the next
Go
one,
down
sorry.
one more.
That's,
But do you
that-
see where
the
there's-
levels of force are the specifics that Mark said, that's where I was speaking
Yeah.
about, to strike out, because it's now directing you to levels of force.
And use of
That's
force.
the part that we're not talking about in this policy.
I could use it in the
You can
less
use
than
this
legal
in,
possibly,
exactly.
put it
That's
over
what
there.
Mark was specifically saying.
Okay.
You're really making this complicated in the fact that
We've already
you're
said this.
now saying levels of force and an imminent danger is to use these two first. That's what he was saying, it's what you wanna strike out, cause that's really directing that in policy.
Cause those are different, those are
Imminent
different
danger
cir-
happens now.
those are different circumstances.
No, this deadly force, the upper one.
And they
The
need to be
upper
addressed,
one?
and these
Goes
levels
with
need to be
it.
addressed, but I
Because
think they need to be addressed in a different.
It's
Okay.
referred
And
to
it says
here,
19201, I'm looking at the other one.
I just
and
struck
then
it
it's
out.
referred to again
Here.
down here.
I just struck it out.
When force
Yep.
may be used,
Yeah.
it's referred to again, and then it's referred to again down here in deadly force, so those all need to be combined.
Yes, we
Yep.
just
Under
took it out.
one deadly
We
force.
just struck it out.
She just did.
Okay.
Okay.
Now we're at caring for injured due to use of force.
Yeah, we
Good.
like this before we put this in there.
School security activities.
Where you at?
That is in caring for injured
Got it.
due to use of force.
The temporary incapacity,
And use of force. And
sorry, I jumped.
Caring for injured, that one?
Engaged.
This will cause a report to be made to law enforcement, will be called to school administration for potential law enforcement investigation of any severity of injury. It's just directing to the factor of home, making a report. I think it's fine.
Yeah, which would we wanna do?
Temporary incapacitation methods is
I
referring
took
back to.
that out.
That's
Took all
all,
that out.
that's all gone.
Those two paragraphs are gone. So now we're at district employee and trustee possession of firearms and ammunition.
Will be required to carry. Striking out or non-lethal right
Yep.
on this.
Yeah,
page.
non-lethal
All
is
on
being
school
struck
buses.
out.
That
There
one.
we go, all.
So there's a couple places in here when I was reading it today, and it said, it says school security activities.
Let's see where you're at. You're gonna
That's
have
up
to show where
further.
you're at.
One
so
of
like
them's in use of
injured.
force and one is caring for the injured. due to use of force. They're not security guards.
I don't see that under.
It's in caring
go
for
back
the
to your,
injured, it says
caring for
use
the
any,
injured.
use of
Yeah.
any force on behalf of school
Yeah,
personnel
so-
engaged in
Activity.
school
Right.
security activities.
Oh, and school
School
security
security.
activities.
Yeah.
The use of force on
Needs
behalf
to
of
be-
I think it would be
engaged
better to
school
word
security
that
activities.
as personal
School
defense
activities?
situations
Or event,
or events. Yeah.
School activities.
Or any.
not an activity that sounds like a sporting event.
Could be.
Something,
I think
something
you would
different
wanna say
than not.
something- I think you would wanna say
activity.
something in
Event.
an emergency.
That's just school security
situation.
activities. I know what you're
We're
trying to say.
securing the activity because we have supervision.
School personnel engaged in self-defense. That's what I would say.
Engaged in-
Any use of force on behalf of school personnel engaged in self-defense.
Mhm.
During imminent
Where
danger.
injury results will summon. That's very simple.
Yeah.
In self-defense, where an injury results, that's very, very simple.
Well, we haven't used self-defense
Yeah,
anywhere else in the
yeah,
policy.
We've used
is that-
imminent
This
danger,
is-
should we
Or
repeat
we've-
imminent
deadly force.
danger? An event,
Let's do that. Any use of force on behalf of school personnel engaged in imminent danger. Where
in
injury
imminent danger
results
event?
will summon appropriate professional. Sure, I mean, self-defense can still be stated, guys. It is self-defense of one other another. That's the whole reason why you would use a.
it is,
I
but
just would be
isn't that all
cautious 'cause
part
we
of
haven't
imminent
used it yet.
danger? What is the imminent danger? The imminent danger is harm to the person.
Right,
that's
I
in the
just, I
definition
didn't
of
see the word,
imminent
I didn't see a problem in using the word self-defense as an issue, but whatever you guys wanna use. You
I
guys
just
can say-
caution for clarity,
Yeah.
to use the same language, because otherwise we're bringing in a new vocabulary word.
So when you look up
'Cause we're not
imminent
all-
danger
yeah.
and the use of deadly force, it says only to be used in self-defense.
I get that.
So,
But we haven't-
when,
we
when
haven't-
you've looked it up
Mhm.
for further up above, now when you get here, you're using the same definition. So
I understand what
like
you're
that.
saying. I'm just saying, as we've went on to say, Penal Code 19-201 to 203, when you define that, it says someone using in self-defense, right?
Correct.
So it's saying, I mean, whatever you guys want to use, I'm not here to argue, I just, whatever.
I just didn't like the school security activities.
I took that out for now and
Dude.
Yeah. and-
plug, I put in parentheses to plug in
Too-
something.
way too
Imminent
confusing.
danger,
What the heck is that?
Yeah.
because we're not
Security
all
guards or the
looking at the
teachers?
Idaho code when
Right.
we're reading the policy. That's why I spelled it out.
I'm okay with imminent danger if that's what you guys want, that's fine.
I put in parentheses for now,
Okay.
and I struck out school security activities.
We got
So we
temporary
know-
incapacitation methods, equipment, district employee, district environment. Where are we at now?
We're under employee and trustee possession of firearms and ammunition. There's a new paragraph in there to look at. About defining when the staff.
What is it for carry and conceal? On all school properties, only for contracted day.
Is a school contracted day, does that include
Why was it put in?
a sporting
We-
event?
Bruno Vista had something similar, so, and then, just talking to the superintendent and getting information was, defining when is a staff member carrying and
And
when
if
are
he's
they
got
not.
DCCW, he could carry anytime he wants.
Yeah.
And then when we're on school property, we're allowing him to carry then. So
Yeah, school.
defining that even more is being like, you can only carry here, now, when, instead of.
Is it
you have
during the
an
school
DCCW.
day, is it at any event, is it at a board meeting, is it a field trip, is it at a parent conference, or is it during the school
Yeah.
day?
Yeah,
Any
anywhere they
district-
feel
Any
free.
district, anything, any
Yeah.
district event. In my personal opinion, I think that would be no different. I mean, why would we not want them to? Or
Right.
if we're defining, I would say any and every school event, right? You can carry only during the school hours, but you can't carry at a football game.
Well, it's on
Or
school
unless it's
we already
authorized.
stated that they could carry on school property,
Right.
so that covers everything.
So that needs to be defined when
That-
it says school contracted day and while on school campuses, so,
Or how about you just get rid of it?
or, yeah, just,
I would just get rid of it, that way it's assumed any time.
So it says, if a staff member was approved to carry a firearm on, that's awkward.
Yeah, get rid of
That's
it.
not a good sentence. So if a staff
Sometimes
member
less
is
is more.
approved to carry firearm on, carry
A firearm on school
on
property.
school property. Through this policy, the superintendent or district designee is authorized to indicate when an authorized staff member would need to carry a firearm for a particular school event or activity. Just
There's-
leave
It's
it-
just saying it all over again.
Right.
Yeah,
They're
just
allowed to
leave it.
carry because we gave them the permit.
Authorized staff members may carry firearm on school property. I mean, but that's, isn't that redundant?
I would
Mhm.
just strike it out. I
Yeah.
think it's a little
It's-
too much.
Yeah.
So school property. Now what, so the other question came up is a staff member is off duty and they're out of game as a parent and a patron. Now what happens?
I
They've
wouldn't
already
see
been
that they're
approved.
authorized to carry. There's no reason why they couldn't. You know what I mean?
Or I'm asking, cause that
I
was
I think that there's no difference. I mean,
clarifying
ultimately,
question then.
we're, you know, shall not be infringed to me is very, very clear. And we're really getting into the nitty gritty of how that means. And for me, being in a governing position and saying, hey, this is what I think it should mean, I think we're doing a really good job of like vetting a very good process. And this is my personal opinion.
So,
Mhm.
I see both, I think I see
So,
both
oh, you have an
sides here.
authorized staff member who's
Yeah.
not on
So
duty
now,
anymore.
if
He's
they're
wearing
not,
a different hat.
if they
Yeah.
are member of Joe Public at a
Mhm.
basketball game,
And Joe can't.
and
Joe
Joe
can't
Public
carry,
shouldn't
can't.
be carrying a firearm at said basketball game,
Why can?
why would the teacher then
This
be
is
allowed
not
to?
on duty.
Because they're already went through the concealed
They've
carry.
already
They've already
Yeah.
been
And
an
they're being
approved
authorized.
individual.
So
Am I
now-
a trustee? Am I
so-
a trustee only when I sit here, or am I a trustee all the time? And when can I carry if I'm allowed? See what I'm saying? That's like saying they can,
No,
they
it-
can't, but I
so
Right,
can't.
'cause
just-
we
just
don't have
we're
hours.
Talking through this,
Right.
okay, so
right.
in the event that an incident were to happen at that basketball game, the employee
He's not on
who
duty.
has that, not on duty, has that firearm, and then an incident occurs, still is covered under all the codes and authorizations to be acting in that capacity, then does the liability of that incident then fall on the district or on the individual as an individual?
I thought the attorney, or thought that our insurance agent said liability is what it is.
And it is what it is, right?
Mhm.
And so I think I understand,
The question.
could there be a difference between a teacher during a normal school day or they're going to their nephew's, basketball game or whatever? Is there a difference there?
So if we state it, is what you're saying, we're protecting them or not protecting them?
We're
Well,
adding defensibility.
Gosh, that is.
Why don't we just say something like, all authorized personnel
Mhm.
Make
through
carry
SD41
Mhm.
is allowed to carry on school
grounds,
grounds
School campuses.
at any time. That protects them both the fact that they've been vetted, whether they're carrying, whether they're not, whether they've been authorized, right? We're saying authorized personnel, we're not just saying employees, we're saying authorized personnel, which happen to have to be employees, we're saying authorized personnel. That protects the fact that if they do, and they're on campus, and it's not while they're a teacher, they can't be held accountable in a negative way. Is that better, is that what you're trying to say?
I'm looking at it the other way, and it's so, that is so convoluted that like, it's hard to make it make sense.
Which part?
That he's a teacher, he's carrying on campus, and whatever reason, whatever, he was at
Mhm.
practice, and he ate dinner in his car, and he never left campus, and now he's gotta go get rid of his gun because he's gonna go in as
Right, that's why I think they
Johnny's
should just
dad.
always carry.
So, yeah, that makes my brain hurt. I can't make that make sense.
I don't see why we would, I don't see.
Is there a difference?
Yeah,
In the
I
second
can't- I
paragraph,
can't
it
make
says
that
that
make sense.
you could carry on school property after you've been vetted. So this is just redundant.
We're just, I
that we're
feel
talking
like
about
the
it
fact
again.
that it said that before, and now we're outlining
It says where.
specifics to say when.
So where does it say it?
above in the very beginning.
Yeah, in the second paragraph. Yeah, where it says,
Say, tell me
trustee, yeah, employee or trustee can possess firearms and ammunition on school property.
Does it say on school property? In the first paragraph?
Second paragraph.
Second
Employees
paragraph.
and trustees who are
Right
interested
there,
in
yeah.
carrying a firearm and ammunition while on, who are aware of, understand the consequences.
This paragraph?
On school
Maybe
property.
I don't see school property. There, no.
Within the
Okay, so that's
permission-
talking to an applicant. That paragraph is speaking to a potential applicant.
Well, shouldn't that be in the
But it is
application
a-
then?
But it's a definition
No.
of what you're applying for.
Yeah.
So it, I
An employee of the
see
school
that
may be
it's
authorized to carry
defining.
a firearm on school campus. Should I add that? I don't see that.
Or we can just make it say authorized employees and trustees who have been approved may carry a firearm and ammunition while on school property.
Authorized, yeah, that would be, they've been approved, authorized.
Employees and
Yeah.
trustees who are authorized to carry
I'll just add on school property.
Yeah,
may carry a firearm and ammunition while on school property.
yeah, that doesn't have to
Why?
define this time or that time. It
Period.
just says period, right. That makes it simple.
Easier this is to understand.
And then strike out that section down below. This section.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you might have to wordsmith that sentence
Yeah, I
up
do,
above.
the top one, cause it has permission and
Yeah.
authorized, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I think that just cleans it up and takes the question out of whether a
When.
district employee is an employee versus
Right.
not.
Any person approved here, 8-hour training each year. Awesome, perfect.
So then that next paragraph about the board, superintendent, HR, making the decision to give permission or revoking,
Seth is our HR expert.
yeah.
What'd you say? What'd he say? I don't
You're,
hear.
you're our HR expert.
No.
No. Legal
My
wondered,
HR's right there.
since we mentioned 3 different people with 3 different departments, legal wondered who makes the final decision, HR, superintendent, or the board?
Board.
I'd say the board would.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I only put that to every time we get an application for employment, who makes the final decision?
Board.
The board. Be the same concept to
Yep.
me.
Discharge of the firearm was, there was no changes there. Training,
It looks good.
it's just restated
Application process.
necessary and reasonable is deadly force as defined by Idaho code.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Just restated
Yep.
with
I like it.
specificity.
So
Training,
then,
sorry.
to Josh's point, now that we're in the training section,
Mhm.
where Josh was bringing up the idea of having a library of
Shouldn't that be on the application
training
maybe?
available, where should that be?
I
Typically,
think
we
that should be
wouldn't
done in
put,
the interview process.
typically, we wouldn't.
Cause that can constantly be changing.
Right.
Yeah,
Correct.
typically,
Wanted to-
right now.
Every year, that library of.
What
training.
Teresa's about to say, Teresa's about to say, yeah, typically we
When you
would come-
reference PD right now and offerings that we give teachers, we don't have that written into policy.
if we wrote
It's just
specific
right.
training in the
Just
policy,
under
we'd
our
also be
HR
breaking a law.
department.
But
because
can
we're
we
suggesting
put in
specifics.
here a library of
Can be offered
will be
by the
offered?
district. Perfect. That's what you want.
Josh?
Agree.
Is this where you would see it fitting?
Yeah. So, since that library could change annually, it would probably be an appendix or something, something that could be changed. It wouldn't need to come to the board for a vote or approval like
Right.
a policy would. It's gonna.
Just something that can
hey,
Right.
Send
We're
a quick
getting
email,
it
hey, I
from-
just saw this link for this new NRA approved.
A ton of
Or whatever the sheriff's department
Yeah.
has offered locally.
Yep.
Cause the more local, the more accessible that you offer something, the more likely it's going to be used, whether it's online or local.
Right.
So what do you want?
I don't know.
There you go.
Just putting-
We went
just-
full circle on that
just-
one.
you
To
just said
nothing
it.
to adding an appendix, and I'm like,
This
whoa.
poor lady.
I thought it would be separated out from policy.
I think you're right. that it
Just
would.
like we do now when there's training
Just like
offerings.
before,
It's in a, like
right.
an HR department, here's a
Yes.
list of curriculum, here's a list of
Right,
resources.
Doesn't
so
have to be
that's-
in the policy.
That's separate, but
But
we
not in the
can,
policy.
you
Okay.
could state in here that a library of training courses will be made available. Yes, yes, no?
Well, since what she just said that it's always a factor that they do that. That we could put that in there, but then it's just, if that's what you want.
No, I mean,
I think that I agree that as a responsible district, we would. And have an appendix available, and we are just adding more.
so we don't have to state that the appendix will be
Correct.
available, we just will have an appendix
Yeah,
available.
it's like now. In the HR department, there's all kinds of resources and trainings and books for teachers to go tap into.
Got it,
We don't have it
Perfect.
written into policy.
got it. Okay,
Perfect.
With something this severe though, wouldn't you want the board to be looking at that every year?
There's so many different programs.
the appendix,
It's just
So
an
what,
extra.
what I think would fit into a policy scenario would be something that says the board is responsible to review the available resources, you know, and make available. So similar to the ongoing educational options, there would just need to be a reminder in here that says that annually, that is part of what this is going to be, a piece of this to be reviewed.
then annually in our schedule, we need to fit that into an executive session safety meeting for review.
Yeah, make it part
We're
of it.
talking about when people put in an application and they're just saying they did this extra training, we need to re-review what that training is gonna be prior to this?
Re-review the list, make
No,
sure it's
the-
still available. I think
Yeah.
every year the board is going to have to review and renew permission for everyone, so we're going to have a special executive session scheduled meeting to review those if this policy goes into and becomes enforced.
Well, I don't think you'd have to have the executive session being a training. I think you would just have to.
But the whole topic,
Yeah, well, yeah.
it
But
could
I-
be,
If
it
we're
could be,
reviewing
maybe it would,
applications every
maybe
year,
it would,
basically.
that part would not be in actual executive session, but part of that meeting. So we have executive session is the actual review of the applicants each year, because they're renewed every year. That is a new renewal.
You're checking on
And
training.
then we come back
And then,
into
yeah,
open
you come
session
back
and
and
then
look,
review
you
that
know,
stuff,
look
but
at
it's a
the-
special meeting, so that is going to have to be in the scheduled annual event.
Yeah.
Cause you're looking at the
Updated.
training every year,
Yeah.
you're looking
Trainings
at the
are pro-
application
you know,
every
the
year,
new
the
stuff
permit.
that's coming out, 'cause
So whether
it's
that
just part of my
happens
business.
at the
Ton
end
of
of the
them.
summer
It's gonna
before
be,
the school
you know,
year,
new
or in
every year.
January,
We could
those
get
are
rid of
different.
August,
How-
September.
well, however,
these and
yeah.
add these, so to speak, or something to that effect.
But that's gonna have to go in the
I come back to the fact of what is required.
Yeah.
Is an 8-hour training, and then all the other trainings that we're gonna put in there, I think we need to review every year, right? We need to review the factor that they're being trained and whatnot. And the factor of
But
having
they're
all the
still
extra
available.
trainings that he was saying, coming back to the factor of those extra trainings being an additional portion, that they can be supplied but not demanded. So if we're going through all those extras, even though we're supplying them and we're re-updating, why are they not implemented into our mandated training? It's not mandated training, it's suggested training.
Those are, but the 8 hours is required every year.
Right, and the 8 hours is stated, it's required and need to be done every year.
But the ECCW is every 5, but there needs to be some form of training every year.
Right.
8 hours every year.
Right, and so what you're saying is that we need to go through and create a list of those trainings, and then we need to update those all the time, is what you're trying to say? I'm trying to understand.
No, for the appendix.
Mhm.
I'm just saying that we need to make sure that we actually have a scheduled meeting every year.
Have it done.
to
That
review
they have-
applications.
Oh, that they're
done.
doing their 8 hours of training. Absolutely. With their application, I would think every year we'd have to make sure and say, hey, this is done
Right,
in their application
that's
process.
what I was saying,
That's
but
what
we just have to either schedule it at do we wanna do it in August before school starts, or do we wanna do it in January? However, we decide, it needs to be in the annual schedule that there is
Good,
this
yeah,
meeting.
Sure.
Part of it is an executive session, and part of it is an open session where we review
Like we
that
do with
appendix
employment.
Yep.
or whatever.
Perfect.
August, right before the school
Yeah.
year
I think it would be no
starts.
different than when we renew school contracts, right? Isn't that in the very beginning of the year?
I thought that was July.
So why wouldn't we apply those then?
We could do it, we can do it whenever you want.
And do we're just gonna, let's just put in there, we need annual training, let's discuss when that's gonna be.
Yeah, typically, I mean, it would be in August before the start of school.
So,
So, all of
Do
the,
we-
Do we need
anyone
wording?
who
Yeah, I
has
think we
this
do.
permission, this authorized use, has to have their 8 hours done and has to be ready to,
Or you
Reapprove
go,
that
or you
year.
go get it and we'll
Reapproved.
review it in the next meeting.
so let's put this into quick terms, guys, so we
What?
can update this
Or you
right
go
now.
get the training and we review it the next month. Right? It doesn't all have to be all at once.
So let's just
No,
say,
well, that- at some
annual
point in
review,
that year,
review.
they have to
annual
have their
review
8 hours
is
of
required. Annual review is required,
Yeah.
per board.
That's it. Yeah.
Is that fair?
And then everybody falls
know
into
where
the
I'm
same
putting that.
schedule the second year.
Right up here in each additional year. Put an E,
That's what I was, in E, okay.
each additional
Or
year.
just a separate statement, because we're,
Is it?
annually, we
I
have
mean,
a
annually,
review
we're
meeting.
reviewing training,
They came in
candidates, policy,
September.
We
I
do
would
already,
imagine.
that's why I was like, I thought that was
December.
assumed. I just don't know
Well,
why we're.
that's
I know,
initial
you're, but
Right.
onboarding,
And
I'm
then
not talking about.
policies
their
that
initial
are reviewed
onboarding.
annually, it is written in the
We just
policy,
always
and ones
have
that
a
Where's
aren't.
it- where's it
scheduled
written
time
at?
every year where
In the very
we
end or the
Usually
very
at the
beginning?
end, usually at the end.
It's right
Not
right there.
initial
Let's put it right in the
onboarding.
end.
Cause that's
This will be-
annual,
Annual
we
review.
gotta do so much
Yep,
stuff.
as its own.
Of policy,
Yeah,
training,
just annual. Pick a month.
Right.
and
Is
candidates.
that good?
Candidates.
Just putting it in right there. Very, very end.
Applicants,
Annual review of policy training
and
and
applicants.
and renewal,
And applications.
and renewal, that's a renewal, not initial application.
It could
Well,
be
that's just
initial,
defined
could
as
be
three,
both.
it's the same.
Could be
A
both.
renewal isn't, it's no different, still an application.
Okay, alright,
It's an annual review,
okay.
boom. Then we got the attachments, I think we were all okay with that. And then there's the policy reference, that's the 5900E, that's the exhibit, that's the actual.
That's the one that we
application.
just looked over.
That's, yeah. And then the non-lethal, I shared a Word document what that would look like, so I can bring that back for a first read next time,
Okay.
I like it.
or less than lethal.
Alright,
Are we good? Moving on?
Pretty good.
All right.
For next time.
Board request to admin, board development.
More work over on the CCW. I think I got everything.
No.
The less than lethals, obviously, but
What's that?
less than lethals.
And some of those updates that we just talked about. some of those. And the application, so you can see it. We gotta give you edit rights again, so you can see all the comments. And the
Is that it?
exhibit.
Any others? Moving on. All right, action items. Need to review and consider a motion to approve the renewal of the superintendent contract.
Switching gears, anytime.
Stand by, I'm logging back in.
Okay.
Kick me out.
Is there supposed to be a tab there?
No,
There's
we're in the
nothing on the
action
tab.
items, what we're actioning on.
Yep.
Yeah.
We've got 8 of them.
All right,
So, I need to review and consider a motion to approve the renewal of the superintendent contract. Is there someone you should add to that?
Nope.
oh,
So I'm gonna make, oh, go ahead, Jody. I'll make the motion, and as we had discussed before with the additional 1 year for renewal and the additional 1 year to the superintendent's contract. As far as I understand how we had discussed
Define
how
that.
that works.
Define that.
And that's, I don't wanna put the net, it's a
So it's a
2-year
Two-year
two-year
contract is what we
Finish out
discussed.
this year.
Okay.
reviewed annually. Correct. And so that's one of the, so to the statement that was made, the contract is for 1 year. It's 2 year, but it's to be reviewed annually and based on performance markers and other factors. The decision, we're not necessarily locked into the full 2 years, if circumstances were to be determined.
Well, unless it was a breach of contract.
Correct.
You are
Right.
there for the 2 years.
Correct.
But you don't wait till the 2 years to do your evaluations, you still do them and you
Yes.
review the contract annually, no matter how
Yes.
many years it is.
And
And
you
as I
review-
understand it, we had agreed on quarterly reviews, is that correct?
Yeah,
Correct.
Yeah,
Mhm.
quarterly reviews and that's.
And
Unless-
quarterly evaluations.
I'm correct.
Yeah.
Quarterly evaluations
Yearly review, with a yearly review.
with a yearly review, but always leaving in the ability to go back to monthly evaluations if necessary.
Yeah.
Yep.
Paul?
Sounds right. Second that motion.
A motion and a second. Any opposed? All in favor saying aye.
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 That should probably be a roll call.
Need a
roll call vote.
memorandum of understanding,
Do you wanna do a
University
roll
of
call vote?
Idaho Extension, I'm
Do
sorry.
you wanna do a roll
Yeah,
call?
probably
vote?
should.
Let's do a roll call. Yeah, that's fine, I'm sorry, let's do a roll call. Aye. Jody,
Aye.
Josh, Beth,
Aye.
and Paul.
But I
Okay.
wasn't able to articulate that very well.
Our brains are,
Fried.
yeah.
Thanks to Nat.
Sorry. I do want to say that in the review, I was just appreciate all that you've done for us this year. You've definitely stood out. You've done a really good job. And it's something that's definitely, it's appreciated and seen. Okay. So, moving on to the memorandum of understanding, University of Idaho.
Seth, hold, sorry.
Yeah.
I do wanna add to that, and that's the discussion, Teresa and I had a very frank discussion last spring, and the statement that I used was trust but verify. And
Yeah.
that's something that I think all of us board members, especially the new ones this year, we talked very specific about the strategic plan, the development of the students, the relationship of the staff with the superintendent, the board, and in larger part, the community.
Yeah.
And personally can attest to Dr. Wrench's engagement with the community, the different organizations within the community, the staff, and the students personally, to the point where, if I had to bet, I would say 90% of the students by name, 95% of the students by
That's
name.
my goal, yeah.
And a
To know
vast
all of them.
They all
majority of
recognize
the
you too,
parents.
and that's what's awesome.
For positive reasons.
Yeah.
And as, I think as an administrator, representing the district, the organization, and the values of the community has been displayed through the development of the CCW policy, even as challenging as it's been to get the wording correct, the attention to detail and movement in the right direction on things like this. The engagement with the community and the staff on a challenging topic that's sensitive to many has been more than appropriate and appreciated. And I've seen that in many areas, so.
Yeah, you've had a big year, lots going on.
Yeah.
Wanting to engage the students especially, piggybacking on that, we're not raising kids, we're raising adults. And treating them as such, and wanting to hear from them too. I think so many times we just forget about them, and you didn't forget about them. In the strategic plan and the CCW.
you know, I've
So-
chatted with some of the key players in Minnewaca County, and they speak pretty highly of you, what you've done, you know, continuing to do, with the district. Very satisfied with what you're doing. I had a conversation with a patron about some troubling issues that their student was having. You jumped right in there. You said it wasn't handled appropriately. You got a hold of everything by the horns and kind of straightened things around, and they were pretty pleased with how you handled that, and you know, moving forward and checking in on things. So, you know, in all reality, I think you're doing a very fine job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good.
Thank you. Thanks for the
Thank you.
recognition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Moving on this time? All right. Memorandum of Understanding, University of Idaho Extension, Minnewaca County Office, in the St. Mary's Middle School.
That's the
That's
Earth.
the,
Yeah, the Earth.
the Earth, yeah, Earth, yeah.
I move to
I need a
approve.
motion.
I'll second it.
Got a motion to second. Any opposed? All in favor saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Review and consider motion to approve the bus bid through Sourcewell Cooperative Bus Purchasing. Are you ready?
Oh.
No, I want to hear if you have anything to say besides that. Okay.
It's, the bid has the same
I saw that.
specs, if you will, as our last bus, or our last few buses that we purchased. The money is set aside from prior board approval from the bus fund and lottery funds. This is pretty much the expected anticipated amount.
Right.
And then the other additional option there is to add the warranty, which all of our other buses have.
And that's something we had gotten hold of this company to do, to make sure they're
Yes.
getting us the best
To
deal
get the
we
best
possibly
quote.
can. And that's what we're here.
Yeah.
Okay, I need a motion. I'm sorry.
This is for the
The
one.
bus bid for
The
two
bus
buses.
bid is for one bus, but you said
Okay.
approved for two buses, because we will get it in 18 months.
Two-
It'll take 18 months to get here, so in that time we will have the funding for that.
I make the motion
Madam,
to
hold on.
move forward with two
Hold on,
buses.
don't we need to have that written down in here to make sure it's for two, because it doesn't mention that here? Okay, please bring the motion. I'm sorry, I didn't hear that, I'm
So we
sorry.
need the amount too.
And does that include the warranty?
For each bus, yeah.
So do
So
you
it'll
have
be
to
the
add the
150
two numbers
We'll
together?
have to add the two numbers together.
Yeah.
Correct.
So that 154,000
Times two.
Plus 5,500.
plus the 50, yeah, times two. So,
Can we do
Do
a,
the math real
an
quick.
Yeah, you
amount
did the
here
math.
Hold on.
spoken?
Do the
My,
math.
I had a
In your
teacher
head.
that
it's gonna be
always
about
said you're not always
160.
gonna
It'll
have
be a little
a,
over 160,000 times two.
Yeah,
Get your decimals in the right place.
321.40.
you had what?
160 something times two. That'd be about right.
Okay, so make a motion to approve $320,154 for two buses with warranties for the school district.
All right, I need a
I
second.
I'll second it.
A motion and a second. Any opposed? All in favor saying aye. Aye.
My
You review and
teacher said
consider
it never
motion to
happened.
approve surplus item list for advertisement. Call for surplus items auction.
Make that motion.
Second.
Any motion second?
That's second.
I didn't hear, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah,
Got
I
a second?
seconded
Got a
it.
motion and a second? Any opposed? All in favor saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Review and consider a motion to approve the Central Washington University Standard Agreement.
That's the after-school program.
Oh, okay.
It's that NASA program.
That's the
with
NASA program
Central.
that she was talking
Yeah,
about.
that's with Central
I say
Washington.
motion.
I'll make that
I
motion.
second.
I'm sorry, who brought
He's
it?
gonna motion? Sorry, I'm so used to
Sorry.
that. Sorry.
I'll second.
Beth seconds it. Any opposed? Favor saving aye.
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 Motion carries.
I'm just closer, you can hear me.
Sorry.
Yeah. This
To
is
review and
video.
consider a motion to approve the amended Inspired by You LLC confidential agreement.
I have Jen Miller here. Thank you, Jen Miller,
Hmm.
for lasting the marathon board meeting. We already have a contract with Inspired by You for the year. However, Medicaid's rates have changed. So we're bringing back an updated, contract, and if you'd like, Jen Miller can speak to the impact that has on the school district with the rate changes.
Is it better that they changed the rates, or is it worse for us?
It's a wash, but if they, reimburse private industries at a higher rate, and they did school-based services. And so the state of Idaho.
Good question.
Schools, maybe special education directors, then went to medically to say, schools should be reimbursed the same rate as private industry, because otherwise private industry gets all the specialists, and they're not gonna work for the school district. So that's when they came back and made it equal school-based service at a reimbursement amount. So we get
The wash.
reimbursed at a higher rate, we pay at a higher rate. That's just
So it breaks even.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So do we use Inspired by You because we can't find those employees?
There's two things. So, one, yeah, we're always short on parents. But Inspired by You, like our highest level employees don't have a master's degree in computer intervention. So they're highly certified to work with some of our children.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a bonus for us, for sure.
Yeah.
That being said, I need to review, or I need to consider a motion.
I make a motion that we move ahead with the independent contractor services with Inspired by You.
Second.
We got a motion and a second. Any opposed? All in favor saying aye?
Aye.
Motion carries. Review and consider a motion to approve board policy 5900 concealed carry firearms on school property as we've corrected.
It's already.
Mm-mm.
It's not tabled though. Huh?
I
It's
would,
already.
no, we need a
Make
motion
a
to table.
make a motion to table.
Okay.
Policy 5900 while we finish vetting the wording.
A second.
Got a second? Got a second, okay. Any motion, any opposed? Okay. Motion carries. I need a motion to adjourn.
We didn't vote.
Oh, we didn't.
Do we need a date?
Oh,
We're
we
bringing it
didn't
back
vote.
next
Oh, I'm
month.
sorry. All in favor say aye, I apologize.
So we'll,
Yeah.
To
we'll
the
need a
next-
date to review it at the next board
meeting,
meeting.
not,
When are we gonna review it?
not the
February.
policy meeting, but
The February board meeting.
February board.
February board meeting.
So restate the motion again, Jody.
So I need to review and consider a motion to, table, sorry, this until the February board meeting. Right?
Make that motion as presented.
Second. As presented.
All right, any opposed? All in favor saying aye?
Aye.
Alright.
Aye. Motion carries.
We need to go back into executive session.
Oh, yeah.
So before we adjourn, yeah, we need to go back to executive.
You're gonna need a motion.
I need a motion to go into the executive session,
You
I'm
all
sorry.
get to leave, we don't.
So I'll need a motion to go into.
I need a
second
motion.
Oh.
Second?
I'm sorry, who brought the motion?
I think he brought the motion, didn't you?
He said, Paul seconded. Jody made the motion.
Yep.
Jody.
Paul seconded it.
Do we have to state
And
the
then we have to-
things again?
Yeah.
Do we need to state the things again? In the executive
Per
session?
Idaho
Per Idaho
code.
code?
You need a what?
Per Idaho code
742061A.
74206-1A, 74206-1B,
B, and
74206-D. 1D, sorry.
And then do we have this?
Roll call.
Roll call.
You guys are about to do executive?
Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Zeno, did you get checked? Did you get checked to her?
It's on camera? Is that on camera?
Do we need to vote on
Lucky
that?
we're not on camera.
We can make a motion.
If that was bad for you, I would've
We
dipped
can
her right
clip that
here.
last part.
Did I finish that?
Roll
Motion
call.
carries.
We-
Roll call.
Yeah, you need a roll call.
Aye.
Aye.
I'm sorry, Beth.
Beth.
Josh.
Aye.
Aye.
Jody. Said
Can
aye.
we